Chapter 26:09. Hua Jin furrowed his brows in confusion, his eyes filled with shock and anger. She said that Yun Shirshir seduced her boyfriend in the washroom at the party that night, and that she's a shameless third party. Everyone in the crew knows about it. Yun Shirshir also knows about it, but although she denies it, she can't provide any substantial evidence. In everyone's eyes, her behavior is tantamount to admitting it. T. Hua Jin immediately swore. This matter is completely groundless. Shirshir is definitely not that kind of woman. Next to him, the costume designer hurriedly said, Hua Jin, do you really like Yun Shirshir? Don't be fooled by her appearance. Everyone said that as a newcomer, she had obtained so many golden resources since her debut because she relied on the unspoken rules to get to where she was. Such a woman is not worthy of you at all. You deserve better. What do you mean? Hua Jin glared at her with red eyes. Despite his anger, he was extremely calm. Everyone in the crew is saying that you like Shirshir, that you have an ambiguous relationship with her, and that you two are secretly in a relationship. But Hua Jin, do you really know her? Ji Yin wouldn't lie. Some women may seem innocent on the surface, but what about the truth? Ji Yin, Hua Jin muttered the name through gritted teeth. Then, he looked up and said fiercely, I'm warning you, Shirshir is the most important person to me. If any of you gossip behind my back and make trouble for me, don't blame me for being rude. After saying that, he turned around and left in a hurry. No one knew where he went. At this moment, in the lounge, Jian was touching up her makeup when she heard a series of hurried footsteps outside the door. She looked toward the door and heard a loud bang. Hua Jin had kicked the door open and barged in. Jian, get out here. Jian's heart skipped a beat. She shot up from her seat and met Hua Jin's eyes in astonishment. Hua Jin. She glanced at the anger on his face and then at the broken door. Several cracks had appeared on the thick, solid wooden door. At first glance, he looked delicate, but she did not expect that such a young man's slender frame contained such great strength. What are you doing? Ji Yin looked at him with great vigilance, feeling that there was a storm in him. His eyes were bloodshot, as if he was in a rage. I heard that you've been spreading rumors about Yun Shirshir and the crew. Hua Jin asked expressionlessly. You said that she's a third party. Are you the one who spread these rumors? Ji Yan's face froze for a moment before her lips curled into a faint smile. Rumors? Isn't that the truth? T. Hua Jin swore. Who the hell is Gao Nan? Is he worthy? Even if Shirshir's taste is as low as dust, she would never fall for such trash. Oh, Ji Yan asked with a faint smile. How did you know? Hua Jin, you seem to care a lot about her and her feelings. Don't tell me you like her. Hua Jin was at a loss for words. After a long pause, he said, Shirshir and I don't have that kind of relationship. She's my family. Family? Ji Yan raised an eyebrow, finding it ridiculous. She's the most important person to me, so I won't allow you to insult her. Chapter 26:10. Ji Yan shrugged. But the truth is that she's a third party who came between me and Gao Nan. For the sake of resources, she didn't hesitate to seduce Gao Nan and climb into his bed. You're deliberately slandering her. Hua Jin sneered. Ji Yan, I really suspect that you have ulterior motives. For the sake of resources? Is that why you're willing to play by the unspoken rules? Do you know that Shirshir is already? His voice came to an abrupt halt. What he wanted to say was that Shirshir was already married. Alas, he could not bring himself to say it out loud. That was because this matter had not been made public yet. If he accidentally blurted it out in a fit of anger, wouldn't it be troublesome for Shirshir? Hua Jin bit his lip and swallowed his words in a daze. Ji Yan pressed. Why didn't you continue? Hua Jin bit his lower lip hard and then said, Anyway, I'm warning you, don't spread rumors again. Ji Yan sneered but did not say anything in the end. The smile on her face suddenly took on a strange look as if there was a deep calculation behind it. For a moment, one could not figure out what she was secretly plotting. Hua Jin did not want to pay attention to her. Since he had already laid all his cards on the table, he would naturally let her weigh the remaining words in her heart. Just as he turned around, he heard Ji Yin whispering behind him. Hua Jin, you're quite arrogant, aren't you? What are you trying to say by coming here to show off in front of me? Do you think you're still the same person you used to be? Hua Jin's back stiffened. Ji Yin casually said, in the past, you relied on the support of your sugar daddy to call the shots and do whatever you want in the production team. I used to be afraid of you because of your sugar daddy, but I think you've fallen a lot recently. Why? Did you break up with your sugar daddy? Shut up. Hua Jin turned around and said fiercely, you have no right to comment on my affairs. You don't have the right. Ji Yin looked at him with a smile and did not say anything. The two of them looked at each other for a long time. The more Hua Jin looked into her eyes, the more confused his mind became. For some reason, he felt that this gaze was extremely familiar, yet also extremely unfamiliar. He furrowed his brows and his eyes flickered. Suddenly, he exclaimed, Yin Bingqing? This gaze made him think of Yin Bingqing's face. In the past, he had some doubts about whether Ji Yin was Yin Bingqing herself. But now, after seeing the deep look in her eyes, he was even more certain that this woman was definitely Yin Bingqing. Previously, he and Yin Bingqing had acted in a period drama together. Yin Bingqing played the role of a concubine with an unfathomable mind. When she acted with him, her sinister eyes left a deep impression on him. Yin Bingqing? Ji Yan's lips curled into a playful smile. She did not directly admit it, but she did not deny it either. Some things are between Yin Shishir and me. Similarly, you have no right to interfere. Do you understand? There are some things that I must get back from her. After saying that, Ji Yin arrogantly walked around him and walked out of the door. Hua Jin turned around abruptly and watched her slowly receding figure in astonishment. Uneasiness surged in his heart all of a sudden. When Yin Shishir returned to the lounge after filming, she saw Hua Jin sitting on the sofa in a daze. He seemed to have been waiting for her for a long time. However, his expression was a little strange, and he seemed to be a little anxious and uneasy. Chapter 26:11. Yin Shishir smiled. When did you get here? I thought you were in your lounge. Sure. When Hua Jin saw her, he snapped out of his troubled thoughts and walked toward her. He suddenly grabbed her shoulder and asked with a solemn expression, do you have a grudge with Yin Bingqing? I don't usually pay much attention to the gossip in the entertainment industry, but I vaguely remember that you and Yin Bingqing worked together on the set of The Green Apple, and the slapping incident was exposed at that time. Although Huan Yu quickly suppressed the news at that time, Yin Bingqing's disappearance from the entertainment industry has something to do with you, right? Yin Shishir looked at him in confusion. Why did you suddenly mention her? I suspect that Ji Yin is Yin Bingqing. She must have returned to the entertainment industry to take revenge on you. Hua Jin revealed all his concerns. Sure. I'm a little worried about you. Ji Yin is Yin Bingqing. Even Yin Shishir couldn't help but be stunned. Are you sure about this? She asked doubtfully. Hua Jin shook his head. I don't have any evidence that she's Yin Bingqing, but my sixth sense tells me that Ji Yin wants to do something to you. What do you mean? Sure. I'm no longer the Hua Jin I used to be. After I broke off my relationship with Lin Shuya, I don't have any backing. I want to protect you, but I'm worried that I can't protect you well. Sure. You must keep a distance from Ji Yin. I'm worried that she'll harm you. Yin Shishir was stunned for a moment. Then she comforted him softly. Hua Jin, don't worry. Even if she wants to harm me, she won't have such an opportunity. Because I plan to quit the entertainment industry. Yin Shishir said calmly. When the press release is over, I will announce to the public that I am quitting the entertainment industry and stay at home to take care of my husband and children. A trace of worry appeared on Hua Jin's face. But I'm still worried. Don't worry, I'll keep my distance from her. Yin Shishir smiled. Besides, I only have the chance to meet her on set. Usually, even if you don't have any scenes, you will accompany me on set. With you around, what do I have to worry about? Her words gave Hua Jin a great sense of security. He firmly enunciated each word. Don't worry, I will protect you at all times. PFFF, Yin Shishir suddenly laughed. Now that you mention it, Ji Yin is like a devil. It's as if she's going to rush in and stab me with a knife at any moment. One must always be on guard against others. If she really is Yin Bingqing, I suspect that she will scheme against you. Well, Don't worry, I'll be on guard against her. Hua Jin felt a little relieved after hearing her words. However, the rest of the day was as peaceful as ever. Hua Jin never left Yin Shishir's side on set, but ever since Hua Jin and Ji Yin quarreled that day, Ji Yin did not appear on set the next day. According to the director, Ji Yin had taken a leave of absence due to illness, and since there were no scenes for her these few days, she simply stayed at home to rest. Hua Jin originally thought that this matter would come to an end. In the few days that Ji Yin was not around, the production team had quieted down and the rumors about Yin Shishir had died down. Chapter 26:12. On Monday evening, Zhu Ku, a well-known paparazzi in the entertainment industry, posted a sensational Weibo post. Zhu Ku, the entertainment writer of Fengxing Studio, was known as the #1 paparazzi in the entertainment industry. He had tens of millions of fans on Weibo and specialized in exposing insider gossip in the entertainment industry. His style of doing things was to follow artists and secretly take photos of them. If he got hold of a first-hand scandal, he would send the photos to the artist in advance in the form of an email and offer a price at the end. If the artist was willing to pay for these scandalous photos, then Zhu Ku would delete all the photos. If the artist was not willing to pay, then he would expose the scandal. Some time ago, the shocking photos of a certain young starlet were his handiwork. Of course, not all scandals could be bought with money. As a paparazzi, what he needed was reputation. He needed to use the gossip he took to prove his prestige as a paparazzi. That evening, he posted a limerick on Weibo. Vows of eternal love are hurried. The broken marriage is a dream. The poetic South Mountain is high in the clouds. The remnant face to the candle is empty. Moreover, at the end of the Weibo post, he said in a very emotional tone, "Sometimes the surface is as clean as ice and as clean as jade, but it is not really as beautiful as it looks. Under the charming appearance, there may be an extremely ugly heart." This was his usual style. First, he would publish a limerick as a warning and as a small demonstration. This limerick would often hide the name of the protagonist of the scandal, but as for who it was, netizens would have to use their brains to guess. Soon, some astute netizens guessed the name hidden in the limerick. Yin Shishir, the poetic South Mountain is high in the clouds. Isn't that Yin Shishir? Once the Weibo post was posted, it immediately shocked countless people. Many people guessed that Zhu Ku had gotten hold of some insider information again. Some netizens joked, "Did Zhu Ku get hold of some shocking insider information again?" Yin Shishir has been very popular recently. It seems that Zhu Ku is going to destroy her ruthlessly. Could it be that he is going to expose Yin Shishir's scandals? I quite liked the movie The Green Apple that she acted in. Her acting was really good. I always thought that she was the only young starlet in the entertainment industry who was untainted by dirt. Yin Shishir is indeed very suspicious. Although she looks like a fairy on the surface and gives off an otherworldly feeling, she has so many resources since her debut and has acted in so many good scripts. I can't help but feel that she's not an ordinary woman. In private, she must be a very scheming woman, right? For a time, there were different opinions. Regarding Yin Shishir's speculations, everyone had their own opinions. There were some who stood firmly on Yin Shishir's side. There were also some who suspected that Yin Shishir was just like what Zhu Ku said. She wasn't as pure as she looked on the surface. Perhaps she was as filthy as those unrestrained celebrities in private. All the netizens were in the mood to watch a good show and were looking forward to the arrival of Friday. In Qin Zhou's office. Bang! Qin Zhou slammed the document on the table. "Good job, Zhu Ku." Covered up tightly. Yin Shishir sat at the side, her brows tightly knitted from beginning to end, but she did not understand the reason. As the person at the center of the incident, she even suspected that the limerick was directed at her. She didn't do anything bad, right? Chapter 26:13. As the person at the center of the incident, many netizens who did not know the truth criticized her on the internet these days. There were even fans who went to her Weibo to ask what had happened and asked her to announce it herself. Qin Zhou immediately contacted Fengxing Studio to express his attitude. If it was really a scandal about Yin Shishir, he wouldn't hesitate to buy it at a high price. However, Fengxing covered his mouth tightly and said, "It's not convenient to say more. See you Friday." Then, he hung up and ignored him. F***CK. See you Friday. Qinzhou cursed and turned to Yun Shih. Do you know what's going on? Yun Shih shook her head blankly. You really don't know? Qinzhou became more anxious. Yun Shih said, I've been filming for the past few days. You know how I am. I don't know what went wrong. Was Zhuo Ke really referring to me in his doggerel? She had always been uninvolved. She was not afraid of a crooked shadow. She firmly believed that this matter had nothing to do with her. Who else could it be other than you, when the poem Ninshan soars above the clouds refers to? Who else in the entertainment industry has Yun and Shih in their names besides you? Qinzhou said eloquently. Yun Shih was even more perplexed as she furrowed her brows. Could there be a misunderstanding? Qinzhou said angrily, I have my suspicions too, but Fengxing hasn't been willing to disclose it and hasn't explained anything. He only said that he'll see you Friday. Do you know what see you Friday means? He's showing us who's boss. He's provoking Huan Yu. Anyway, I didn't do anything wrong. Even if they expose a scandal, I can explain it clearly. Explain it to who? Explain it to those fans who are led by public opinion? Zhuo Ke's scandals have always been true. The public will be blinded by him. When that happens, you'll only be caught in the vortex of public opinion. Who will listen to your explanation? Yun Shih was speechless. She suddenly said, all this time, I haven't been anywhere other than filming. Therefore, it's futile for you to ask me. Only then did Qinzhou realize that he had lost his composure. Frowning, he rubbed his forehead with his finger and said helplessly, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have been so tough with you. I'm fine. You go back first. I'll think of a way to deal with this matter. Yun Shih suddenly said, actually, no matter what kind of scandal it is, even if it is exposed, I can deal with it. Don't worry too much about me. How are you going to deal with it? Qinzhou asked doubtfully. If it's slander, I can sue, can't I? I'm not worried about slander. I'm worried that this guy is taking advantage of your loophole to defame you. Qinzhou, don't worry. Different situations call for different measures. Yun Shih stood up and suddenly smiled at him. I came here today because I have something to discuss with you. But seeing how tired you are, I'll talk about it another day. What is it? Just say it. Qinzhou didn't like to keep people in suspense. Chapter 26:14. Qinzhou was stunned. Yun Shih continued, I don't like to fight with people, especially those who are scheming against each other. I can't deal with them. So, I want to work hard to become a best actress and then quit the entertainment industry. Her words were so sudden that Qinzhou couldn't digest them for a while. You want to quit the entertainment industry? Yes. Are you sure about that? Qinzhou was still a little reluctant. Sure. Your future is bright. As long as I continue to support you, your future will be very bright. You should know my character. I don't care about fame and success. Maybe it's because I didn't live up to your expectations? Her lips curled into a self-mocking smile. Compared to success and recognition, I still want to protect my little family. When I first stepped into the entertainment industry, I was forced by life and had no choice. But now, compared to the audience, my family needs me more. Won't you regret doing this? Yun Shih said firmly, No, I won't. Well, Qinzhou frowned and said helplessly, This is a little sudden. Give me some time to digest it. Okay, you can go back first. Qinzhou ordered. Yun Shih picked up her bag and left the company. Because she had been in the eye of the storm recently, Qinzhou told her to leave through the back door of the company. He also arranged bodyguards to protect her on the way to avoid any accidents. The company sent her a private car. After she got in, she closed the curtain and did not have to worry about being secretly photographed. In the past few days, the matter of Zhuo Ke's Weibo post was still fermenting. Many netizens became more and more restless, and everyone kept speculating with the intention of gossiping. Yun Shih's Weibo post attracted countless comments from netizens. Some wanted to get to the bottom of it. Some questioned and speculated, and some criticized wildly. In the past few days, Yun Shih did not deliberately log into Weibo again. The more she read the public opinion, the more annoyed she became. On Thursday, Zhuo Ke didn't want to be left out, again, and posted a set of 9 photos. The woman in the photo was none other than Ji Yin, the new actress who had caused a heated discussion due to her resemblance to Yin Bingxing. She was lying on the hospital bed, wearing a breathing mask. On the hospital bed, she looked very sick, unable to recover, dejected and haggard. Trapped by love, I still have no regrets. Zhuo Ke's short poem seemed to imply that Ji Yin had fallen ill because she was troubled by her love life. However, he did not reveal too many details. An hour after he posted the Weibo post, a netizen who claimed to be working at a hospital posted, "The photos posted by Zhuo Ke are real. Ji Yin was rushed to the hospital a week ago after she was found wanting to commit suicide by cutting her wrists. Rumor had it that the person who found her was her best friend. As she had lost contact with Ji Yin for several days, the woman was so worried that she went to her apartment to look for her. However, after knocking on the door for a long time, there was no response. When the woman broke in, she found Ji Yin lying in a bathtub filled with water that was stained red with blood. Rumor has it that Ji Yin once had a stable boyfriend, but her boyfriend cheated on her, causing her to be emotionally hurt. That's why she took it too hard. Hurt by love, cheated on? The netizens' imaginations ran wild. Chapter 26:15. Then, connecting the dots, doesn't it mean that a couple who were originally in love with each other had their relationship ruined by someone else and was hurt by love? Oh my God. Could it be that Zhuo Ke wanted to expose that Ji Yin had been ruined by a third party, and that third party was Yin Shishir? Zhuo Ke added, "Sometimes the surface is as clean as ice and as clean as jade, but it isn't as beautiful as it looks. Under a charming appearance, there may be an extremely ugly heart." She was implying that, although Yin Shishir maintained her image of being pure and otherworldly on the surface, she was, in fact, extremely ugly in nature. The netizens connected the dots and were terrified. They were looking forward to the truth being revealed on Friday night. What the hell? On this day, Xiao Shui called to ask about Yin Shishir's situation. She was worried that Yin Shishir would be at a loss and helpless after this incident. To her surprise, Yin Shishir picked up the phone calmly, as if she didn't care about it all. Only then did Xiao Shui feel a little relieved. Sure. Have you seen the comments of the netizens online? They're too much. How dare they speculate about you without any substantial evidence? I'm so angry. Xiao Shui continued. There's a line in that poem. The poetry of Nanshan is high in the clouds. Could it be related to Gaonan? Yin Shishir furrowed her eyebrows, feeling a little doubtful. Xiao Shui, don't be anxious. How can I not be anxious? I'm the one who implicated you in this matter. If it weren't for my bad luck, I wouldn't have brought you so much trouble. Xiao Shui regretted her actions, especially when she realized that her failed relationship had implicated her best friend in a whirlpool of public opinion. Since it has already happened, we should think about how to deal with it. It's useless to be on tenterhooks. Xiao Shui asked nervously. Will it work if you clarify the truth to the public? Yin Shishir was also a little confused by this question. She didn't know if her explanation was convincing. However, when she roughly figured out the core of Zhuo Ke's revelation, she calmed down at once. Her conscience was at ease with this groundless expose. She was not a third party, nor did she interfere in anyone's relationship. Just this point alone made her feel at ease. What is this Zhuo Ke up to? How dare you write such a groundless scandal? Perhaps he was also instructed by someone. As far as she knew, Zhuo Ke's information was not 100% true. If someone offered him a large sum of money, he would publish it on Weibo even if it wasn't true. If the person being defamed did not have a strong enough background, he would definitely be crushed by the overwhelming comments. However, in the eyes of the netizens, most of Zhuo Ke's revelations were confirmed to be true. Even if the latter did not clarify and deal with it coldly, there was still evidence to follow. Therefore, in the eyes of the netizens, Zhuo Ke was the messenger of justice who exposed the dark secrets of the entertainment industry. This was the trickiest part. Xiao Shui didn't react to her words and was confused for a moment. What do you mean? Yin Shishir said hesitantly. I suspect that someone is deliberately trying to smear my reputation and use the internet to suppress me and destroy me. This is too scary. Who is scheming against you? Chapter 26:16. Once this news was out, who would benefit the most from the public opinion? Ji Yin. Therefore, it was not difficult to guess who the mastermind behind this matter was. Still, why would Ji Yin do this? Ji Yin had just debuted, and she had no grudges with her except for that matter with Gao Nan. Was it necessary for her to commit suicide over that matter? Or could it be that the suicide by cutting his wrists was just a show to add to the scandal and gain the sympathy of the public? Such a show was undoubtedly very successful. The public opinion online was already leaning toward Ji Yan's side. Most netizens, who were unaware of the truth, began to defend, sympathize with, and support her. However, as the center of this incident, she, who appeared as the third party, became a target of scorn and hatred. Hence, she could be even more certain about one thing. Ji Yin did not truly love Gao Nan, and the two of them were just playing around. Moreover, she had already set up a trap and was patiently waiting for her prey to walk into it unknowingly. And that prey was none other than her. Gao Nan was nothing more than a pawn for her to use. To put it bluntly, Gao Nan was just a smokescreen. She had painstakingly set up a trap for him at the birthday party that night, and the game had officially started from there. The next day, she went to the production team to exaggerate this matter, deliberately portraying her as a third party who interfered in someone else's relationship to arouse the sympathy of the crew. There were many small groups in the production team, and some of the crew members who knew some inside information would send it to the paparazzi for a high reward. Once the paparazzi got hold of a clue, they would begin to lay low. As for what Zhuoku would release on Friday, it would probably be some photos that would be unfavorable to her. For example, photos of her and Gao Nan looking very intimate. That night, the bar was so chaotic. If Ji Yin wanted to, she would have bribed the paparazzi in advance to keep watch at the bar. They probably took a photo of her and Gao Nan in the washroom. Using a certain angle, even if she and Gao Nan were arguing nonstop, the photo was still and could not speak. As long as the right angle was chosen, even if the two of them were quarreling with red faces, it could still create an extremely ambiguous effect. Yun Shishir calmly analyzed the situation. Once she calmed down, her mind was very clear. The development of the matter was probably not much different from what she had inferred. There might be a discrepancy, but it would not be too big. Ji Yin really put a lot of thought into this. Why would she do this, though? It's probably because there's some deep hatred between us that can't be resolved, right? This further confirmed her suspicions. This Ji Yin is Yin Bingqing. Yun Shishir shared her conjecture with Xiao Shui. After listening to her analysis, the latter was a little dazed. After a long pause on the other end of the phone, she didn't know whether to laugh or cry. She said with extreme indignation, "Oh my God, is this a plot against the palace?" The entertainment industry was like a harem in ancient times, full of intrigue and intrigue. So melodramatic? Things like this happen every day. I'm already used to it. Chapter 26:17. After hanging up the phone, Yin Shishir knitted her brows and suddenly walked into the study, where she turned on her computer and logged into Weibo. Sure enough, the rumors about her being a third party were all over the place. The netizens seemed to be certain that she was the mysterious female lead in Zhuoku's news and firmly believed that she had interfered in Ji Yan's relationship. She looked at the calendar and saw that tomorrow was Friday. Zhuoku would release the news on Friday night, and she would be in a very passive position by then. After all, as the protagonist, if she insisted on explaining, it would only make the public feel that the more she tried to explain, the more it would make the situation worse. She had once filed a defamation lawsuit against Zhuoku, but Qin Zhou said that the litigation period would be very long, and under the operation of Fengxing Studio, her reputation would inevitably be tarnished. Once it hit rock bottom, it would even affect her a lot of areas. For example, she originally planned to compete for the Best Supporting Actress award with Lethal Beauty, but if she were to be embroiled in a scandal, she would definitely be boycotted by the public. The jury would then comply with the public's opinion and kick her out of the list. At that time, she would have no chance of winning the award and would be completely removed from the list. What was worse was that if things got out of hand in the end, the advertisements she endorsed would also be affected and taken off the shelves, and she would also have to face a high penalty for breach of contract. As a spokesperson with a sky-high price, one's artistic integrity was also the most important assessment indicator for advertisers. Maintaining a good image was also listed in the clause. Thinking of this, Yin Shishir's mood became more and more irritable. When Mu Yaja reached home, Yin Shishir was slumped over the study table, looking depressed. He walked to the front of the study table, only to find the computer screen displaying the Weibo interface. On the interface was a long Weibo post about Yin Shishir's scandal. Some netizens analyzed some details revealed by Zhua Ke's Weibo and concluded that Jian's rumored boyfriend was probably the son of Qingwang Entertainment's senior executive, Gao Nan. South Mountain Poetic Beyond the Clouds. It referred to Yin Shishir and Gao Nan. So, Yin Shishir had interfered in the relationship between Jian and Gao Nan, and the latter had cheated on Yin Shishir. The netizens were in an uproar. He was no stranger to Gao Nan. Nowadays, many things in the entertainment industry had become transparent due to the internet. Although Gao Nan was not a public figure, it was precisely because his mother was a high-ranking executive in Qingwang Entertainment that all his rumored girlfriends were related to the entertainment industry. Some time ago, there was even a scandal between him and Lin Ji, where the paparazzi secretly took photos of them entering and leaving a hotel together. Although Qingwang Entertainment managed to suppress this matter in time, the news still spread like wildfire. Coupled with his good looks, he was even better than many of the young men in the entertainment industry. Mu Yaja frowned. Because of his anger, his breathing suddenly became heavy and rapid. Yin Shishir suddenly sensed it. She raised her head and saw that it was him. She was immediately at a loss. "You're back?" she asked anxiously, only to see his gaze fall straight on the screen. His hostility was revealed, and he was clearly a little uneasy. She was worried that he would misunderstand and wanted to explain, but she didn't know where to start. Mu Yaja suddenly looked at her. "Who spread this rumor?" He was so angry that his voice was thick and nasal, which made him look very dignified. Chapter 26:18. She had thought that he would want to get to the bottom of it after seeing the rumors, but she hadn't expected him to think that someone was trying to defame her. In other words, he didn't suspect that she had really done such a thing. Instead, he subconsciously chose to believe her innocence and believed her without any hesitation. Yin Shishir couldn't help feeling touched. Her stubborn face finally cracked, and a helpless look of grievance appeared on her face. "I really didn't get involved in anyone's relationship. I don't know why they're doing this. I'm guessing they're trying to defame me and ruin my career." "Who posted these rumors?" "Fengxing Studio." "Fengxing Studio?" Mu Yaja frowned. He wasn't unfamiliar with that name. Zhua Ku said that he'll release a shocking piece of news tomorrow night. "I suspect that someone has bribed Fengxing Studio to defame my reputation." Mu Yaja couldn't bear seeing how uneasy and helpless she was. He hugged her tightly and sighed. "Don't be afraid. I won't let that happen." "What should I do?" Yin Shishir was at a loss. "I don't know what to do. This is the first time I've encountered something like this. I can only tell myself that the more tense the moment, the calmer I have to be." "Fengxing Studio, huh?" Mu Yaja opened his eyes slightly. A frosty glint flashed across his eyes, freezing everything within 1,000 miles. "Don't worry, sure. I'll take care of everything." Yin Shishir closed her eyes. "Okay." On Friday night, Fengxing Studio, which had made an advance announcement, didn't release the news as promised. Whether it was Fengxing Studio's official Weibo or Zhua Ke's Weibo, there were no updates. Even though netizens kept clamoring for him to release the news, there was still no news from him even after a few hours. Many netizens were greatly disappointed. This matter had been brewing for several days. Regarding the love triangle between Yin Shishir, Jian, and Gao Nan, the netizens had many different opinions and speculations. They were just waiting for the truth to be revealed on Friday night. However, for the first time in his life, Zhua Ku stood them up. Fengxing Studio also stood them up and didn't make any move. Yin Shishir, who was at the center of this incident, posted a Weibo post on Friday night along with a meaningful picture. In the picture, there was a clear stream with a little girl holding a bunch of wildflowers as she strolled by the stream. She looked so innocent and carefree. She even attached a short Weibo post with 4 words, "The innocent knows the truth." The netizens were in an uproar. What? The truth? Does this mean that the announcement that Zhui Ku released earlier was a mistake? There's no third party, no affair, and scandals? Fengxing Studio, everything? All of a sudden, a bloody storm was set off on the internet again. Some netizens were disappointed. They were prepared to watch the biggest drama of the year, but they didn't expect that after years of brewing, there would be no follow-up. Their anticipation was in vain. Some netizens, on the other hand, were excited that their beloved idol was finally innocent. Hence, they went to Zhui Ku's Weibo and scolded him for being a mangy dog. Chapter 26:19. There was no third party, no cheating, no scandal. Everything was Fengxing Studio's fault. Instantly, the internet was once again in a bloodbath. Some netizens were disappointed. They were originally prepared to watch the biggest drama of the year, but they did not expect that after years of brewing, there would be no follow-up. Their anticipation was in vain. Some netizens, on the other hand, were overjoyed that their beloved idol had finally been cleared. Hence, they went to Zhui Ku's Weibo to scold him for being a lazy dog. What the hell is going on? Jian slammed the fax sent by Zhui Ku on the table. According to the fax, due to some unforeseen circumstances, this matter might come to an end. In fact, Yin Shishir's guess was right. Everything was a trap set up by Ji Yin. Starting from the party that night, she had carefully set up a big net to use this scandal to completely drive Yin Shishir to the bottom of the valley. If there were no accidents, Zhui Ku was supposed to publish a long Weibo post and a set of candid photos that night as planned. The photos were taken secretly in a bar that night. In the photos, Yin Shishir and Gao Nin were arguing in the washroom. However, the angle and deliberate candid shots made the two look very intimate. One of the photos showed Yin Shishir and Gao Nin gnashing their teeth as they spoke. From the photos, it looked like they were whispering to each other intimately. Just these few photos alone were enough to prove that the two of them had a close relationship. In addition, Zhui Ku also revealed that Ji Yin had cut her wrist to commit suicide due to being trapped by love to win the public sympathy. The public generally had a sense of empathy. When the weak were in front of them, they would unconsciously side with them and protect them. A popular starlet who was as pure as ice and as pure as jade on the screen was actually so unrestrained in private. She interfered with the relationship of a new actor in the crew and forced a weak and helpless newcomer to commit suicide by cutting her wrists. How repulsive would that be in other people's eyes? Ji Yin could even proudly foresee that Yin Shishir's Weibo would be attacked by angry netizens not long after Zhui Ku's Weibo post was published. However, until this moment, there was no movement from Fengxing Studio. Ji Yin was completely dumbfounded. Damn it, what's going on? Sister Ji Yin, could it be that Yin Shishir is using her resources to suppress Fengxing Studio? Ji Yin furrowed her brows and suddenly ordered, Xiao Jing, help me contact the reporters. I want to hold a press conference the day after tomorrow, which is the weekend. Press conference? Ji Yin snorted coldly and said with a gloomy look in her eyes, there's probably nothing more powerful than the victim standing in front of the media and denouncing the culprit, right? On the evening of the weekend, an unexpected media conference suddenly became the focus of the entire internet. A number of first-line mainstream media focus, QQ live broadcast. Dressed in plain clothes, Ji Yin appeared in front of the camera with a haggard face. Her face was so pale that not a single trace of blood could be seen on it. She looked dull and lifeless, as if there was no color left in her. Chapter 26:20. Facing the microphones of the various media outlets, she finally made sound. Since that incident, I've remained silent from beginning to end. I admit that I'm weak. I don't think I'm strong, so when I was bullied, I chose to retreat and leave this world. But now, I've come to my senses, and I want to speak without hesitation. Please give me back my love. Please give me back my love. Newcomer Ji Yin faces the media for the first time and accuses the entertainment industry of being shady. I've loved acting since I was a child, and I like to try out every different role. Therefore, When I was in college, I applied for an acting major without hesitation. I yearned for the entertainment industry wholeheartedly, hoping that one day I could step into this dazzling place, radiate my light and enthusiasm, and dedicate my life to this career. From the bottom of my heart, I hope that I can grow into a professional actor and perform well in every work. I hope that I can present my emotions to everyone. But when I stepped into the production team for the first time in my life, with great expectations, reality poured a bucket of cold water on me. Only then did I realize that the entertainment industry is not the holy land I imagined it to be. The more radiant a place is, the deeper the shadows are hidden. Sometimes, things that look beautiful on the surface will never be known for their true colors. Before this, Yoon Shur had always been a senior and my idol whom I respected the most. I was very excited and happy to be able to work with her in the first film of my life. In my eyes, she was once so outstanding, but later on, I deeply understood a fact. How exactly did she use dirty means to climb up the ranks step by step? The audience was in an uproar. On the internet, on TV, on the screen in the square, and on the live broadcast software, Ji-Yeon's heart-wrenching words shocked all the audience watching the press conference live. Under the attention of all the media, Ji-Yeon's tears fell like rain as she painfully accused Yoon Shur of all her crimes. It turned out that before joining the cast of Extreme Youth, she had begun a formal relationship with Gao Nan, the heir of the Gao group. The two had entered the honeymoon period, and their relationship had always been stable. It happened at a party. That day was her birthday. To celebrate, she invited the entire production team and cast to a bar for her birthday party. During the party, she vaguely sensed that something was amiss with the way Yoon Shur looked at Gao Nan. Afterward, the two went to the washroom one after another, with Hua Jin trailing behind. Soon, someone screamed at the washroom's entrance. The production team rushed over and found Hua Jin and Gao Nan in a scuffle. Hua Jin said that Gao Nan had touched Yoon Shur, but that was not the case. Afterward, Gao Nan told her that, during a break in the party, Yoon Shur had passed him a note with a few words written on it with an eyebrow pencil, "Waiting for you in the washroom." Feeling baffled, he went to meet her out of curiosity. However, when they were in the washroom, Yoon Shur changed her reserved and aloof attitude and lowered herself to seduce him. She even claimed that as long as she was given the role of the female lead, she would be his secret lover. Chapter 26-21. Unable to resist her seduction, Gao Nan got intimate with her in the washroom, which was witnessed by Hua Jin, who was tailing them. Hua Jin, who was in love with Yoon Shur, subconsciously thought that Gao Nan was forcing himself on Yoon Shur, so he immediately got into a fight with him. The people who came later immediately stopped the two. However, after the party ended on a sour note, Yoon Shur did not restrain herself at all. She called Gao Nan to ask him to have sex with her and even asked him to meet her at a hotel. Later, over the phone, she flirtatiously told him that she had specially brought along a sexy nightgown. Gao Nan then rushed to the hotel as promised, and the two had a night of sex. When she found out, she was in so much pain that she wanted to die. I love Gao Nan more than my life. I devoted all my feelings to him, but I didn't expect that the senior I respected would come between me and the man I loved so much would betray me and cheat on me. Under these two blows, I couldn't recover from the setback and wanted to end my life decisively. However, after I was resuscitated, I swore that I would expose all the dark secrets behind this. Today, I'm standing here to expose the truth to the public. I implore everyone not to be blinded by appearances, and I hope that everyone can help me and cheer for my true love. Return the entertainment industry to a pure land. Make decisions for my true love. Cheer for my true love. Shameless. Xiao Shui's face was livid with anger, and she could not wait to go crazy. In the living room, Yoon Shur quietly stayed in front of the TV and silently watched Ji-Yeon's haggard and helpless face on the screen. She could not help but raise an eyebrow and take a deep breath. I originally thought that her acting skills were terrible, but I didn't expect her to be the real drama queen at this critical moment. Fortunately, Yu and Xiaoyi-Chen were not at home for school, so she did not have to worry about how angry and irritable the two little guys would be after watching this press conference. Seeing her calm demeanor, Xiao Shui became even more worried and cautiously asked, Sure, aren't you angry? I'm very angry. Why do you look so calm, though? Yun Shurshu's lips curled into a smile as she stared at the screen. It's because I'm too angry that I calmed down all of a sudden. Xiao Shui glanced at the TV screen. The atmosphere at the press conference was chaotic, with reporters constantly asking questions. Ji Yin seemed to be suppressing her grief and pulling herself together to answer them. But that disgusting face of hers, it made Xiao Shui's heart. She felt extremely twisted. Such a foul atmosphere was really disgusting. He did not know how Ji Yin managed to do it, but how she was able to spout such nonsense so confidently. Is she not afraid of retribution? The media at the press conference? All of a sudden, a reporter raised a question. Miss Ji Yin, are you telling the truth? Of course. What I've said is the truth. What reason do I have to lie? Please believe me when I say that it takes a lot of courage and conviction to expose these dark secrets to the public. The entertainment industry is very complicated and dark. If I say this, I might be retaliated against at any time. I might even be blacklisted or shelved. But I don't care about that anymore. I'm not even afraid of death. So why should I be afraid of someone's revenge? Now, there was another round of whispers and discussions. Everyone looked at each other, shocked and frightened by Ji Yan's bold statement. Chapter 26-22. In other words, she was implying that she would definitely seek revenge for exposing Yun Shurshu's true colors. Ji Yin put on a righteous look, looking as if she was ready to face death with equanimity. Just then, a man suddenly stood up at the scene and asked meticulously, Miss Ji, I'm Miss Huan Yu. Miss Ji Yin, I'm Huan Yu Media's chief reporter, and I have a question for you. How can you prove the veracity of what you said based on your one-sided story? Please don't be offended by my abrupt question. I'm just curious if you have any substantial evidence to prove that Miss Yun Shurshu is the culprit in your relationship. Ji Yin froze on the spot. Evidence? The man replied calmly and politely, yes. Evidence that Yun Shurshu is the third party. Please show me the relevant evidence. Do you have it? The atmosphere of the scene was in a deadlock. In front of the TV screen, Xiao Shui was so excited that she couldn't control her laughter. Ha! Are you stupid? How dare Ji Yin come out and embarrass herself with such mediocre skills? Who is this reporter? He's so handsome. I'm falling in love with him. Yun Shurshu glanced at the man and saw his identity card. Ah, isn't he a reporter from Huan Yu Media? Huan Yu? Aren't you the owner of the company? Huh, so he's one of us. No wonder he's on your side. Could this reporter have been planted by Qin Zhou? It was said that in the past, when there were press conferences that were unfavorable to their artists, lawyers from the company's legal department would be sent to the venue disguised as reporters. With just a few words, they could instantly change public opinion. It worked every time. Could this reporter also be a lawyer from the legal department in disguise? Everyone held their breaths and stared intently at the center of the stage, where Ji Yin sat at the desk with a somewhat uneasy expression. Her eyes were wide open in a daze, and there was a look of bewilderment and confusion on her harmless face. In the face of the reporter's question, she seemed to be powerless to answer and didn't know how to respond. Therefore, for a moment, she just stood there in a daze and didn't say a word. Her eyes kept darting around as if she was guilty of something. All the reporters gradually became a little impatient. Through the microphone, they urged her a few times, as if they were certain that she couldn't produce any evidence. A barrage of questions came at her like a cannonball. Miss Ji Yin, could it be that you're jealous of Yun Shurshu's soaring popularity, so you're deliberately making up something to smear her image? Yun Shurshu is like a clear stream in the entertainment industry. From the beginning of her debut until now, there have been few scandals. What you said is indeed shocking, but as a media person, we have a responsible attitude to verify the truth and restore the facts. This is also a responsibility to the public. Please show us the evidence. We can't just listen to your side of the story, can we? It's really hard to imagine that Yun Shurshu is such a shrewd and evil woman, as you said. There was a lot of discussion, and people kept raising doubts. Ji-yin suddenly clenched her fists tightly. She seemed to be at a loss and uneasy, as if she was sitting on a pincushion. Seeing that she had been silent for a long time, the reporters finally couldn't bear it anymore. Why isn't she saying anything? Chapter 26-23. I think she's exaggerating. How can Yin Shirshir be such a one woman? Still, it's very suspicious. After all, it's impossible for a newcomer like Yin Shirshir to have so many golden resources right after her debut. She must have a sugar daddy behind her, but we don't know who that daddy is. Since she already has a sugar daddy behind her, why did she seduce Gao Nan? Are you stupid? Maybe she got tired of being toyed with by her sugar daddy and got kicked out. Besides, it's better to be seduced by a handsome man than anyone else. Gao Nan is very popular in showbiz, and many female stars are flocking to him. That makes sense. After all, Gao Nan is a rich second-generation heir with plenty of resources and looks good. He's much more pleasing to the eye than those fat old men. Seeing that the public opinion had reversed, the reporter from Huanyu continued to add fuel to the fire. Ji-yin, if you can't produce any evidence, can I suspect that you're making up these rumors to smear Yin Shirshir's reputation? Absolutely not. Ji-yin wanted to cry, but had no tears. I don't know what evidence you want. It's very simple. I want evidence to prove that what you said is true. Ji-yin was increasingly at a loss. Just as the scene was on the verge of going out of control, the door of the venue was suddenly pushed open. A man's steady voice pierced through the chaotic venue like a shot in the arm. You want evidence? Then, can my words be considered as evidence? Everyone turned to look at him. Ji-yin raised her head in surprise and met the eyes of the man at the door. Instantly, a mixture of emotions appeared on her face. Yin Shirshir and Xiao Shui could not help but be startled. As the camera switched, Gao Nan's handsome figure in a suit appeared on the screen. Xiao Shui was completely stunned. Why is it him? Why did he appear at the press conference? What was he trying to do? Yin Shirshir was also a little surprised. She could not figure out the purpose of his appearance. With his appearance, the scene quieted down at once. Amidst the silence, only the sound of breathing could be heard as everyone's eyes fell on him. His sudden appearance was beyond everyone's expectations. Gao Nan looked at Ji-yin, who was on the stage, and then looked around expressionlessly. Didn't you ask her for evidence? Then, as the person involved in this incident, can my words be established as testimony? The crowd sucked in a breath of cold air. His appearance immediately reversed the direction of the wind. Ji-yin stared blankly at Gao Nan until he stepped onto the stage and stood in front of her. Ignoring the dumbfounded expressions of the media, he studied her for a long time before he smiled and silently took her hand, his eyes full of guilt. I'm sorry. I'm late. All this time, I've let you suffer so much. Gao Nan's affectionate confession made Ji-yin burst into tears on the spot. Gao Nan, don't say any more. It's all my fault. All this time, I made you suffer so much grievance and pain. As your man, I've let you down time and time again. Now that I've thought it through, I've changed my mind. The person I truly love is you. So, give me another chance. Can you forgive me? Chapter 26-24. Ji-yin covered her mouth emotionally and stared at him in disbelief. Gao Nan, the man gave her a doting smile and interlocked his fingers with hers. He then turned around to face the crowd of reporters below the stage. I won't let her fight alone anymore. She's always shouldered everything silently, but from now on, I won't let her be alone. The moment he said that, the spotlights flashed violently. On the TV screen, Gao Nan firmly held Ji-yin's hand like a devoted lover. His face was full of regret and heartache, but more than that, there was a doting look that he had never shown before. Ji-yin covered her mouth in agitation and stared at him with tears of grievance falling down her cheeks as she hugged him tightly. Kacha! Kacha! Their affectionate hug instantly killed countless fans. In front of the TV, Xiao Shui watched the scene in a daze. The moment the two hugged each other tightly, her heart felt as if it was being torn into pieces by countless sharp claws. She thought that she had completely let go of him. However, when she saw the man, who had been dating for so long, showing a doting look that he had never shown her to another woman. She suddenly felt that she was a joke. Idiot. Fool. I actually fell in love with such a man. I actually let such a man play with my feelings so ruthlessly. Xiao Shui couldn't take it lying down. Ji Yin and I have been dating for 2 months, and our relationship is stable. We started a serious relationship with the goal of marriage. However, I admit that I was greedy for her beauty and was bewitched by her. So I betrayed her and committed a mistake that all men in the world would commit. However, in the past few days, I realized that the one I truly love is this woman. After a pause, his tone suddenly became serious again. As for the so-called evidence you're talking about, I wonder if my words can be used as evidence? Immediately, a reporter raised his hand and asked, Mr. Gaonan, may I ask if what Miss Ji Yin said earlier about Yin Shishir seducing you is true? Yes. Did Yin Shishir really make such a flirtatious invitation? Yes. Did you really go to the appointment? Yes. Then, did something really happen between you and Yin Shishir? Such a sharp question silenced the audience at once. Xiao Shui's eyes widened as she stared at his cold face, praying in her heart, don't do anything to hurt Shishir. However, in the next second, a strange smile suddenly appeared on his face as he slowly nodded and pretended to be ashamed. Yes, the audience was in an uproar again. This sentence was presented to the entire nation through the live broadcast. His answer was undoubtedly to confirm that Yin Shishir was a third party. The asterisk starred. Xiao Shui screamed hysterically. She was so angry that she almost picked up the teacup in her hand and threw it at the TV screen. Yin Shishir immediately tried to calm her down. Xiao Shui, calm down. Ow! Chapter 26-25. She roared angrily and turned to look at Yin Shishir. She couldn't hide the guilt on her face, and the anger in her eyes was about to burst out. He can't do this. Xiao Shui's tears fell. It's fine if he hurts me. Why does he have to implicate innocent people? How can this man be so shameless? Yin Shishir was also trembling with anger. However, at this time, she was strangely calm. Or perhaps, she believed that even if the sky fell, there would be such a reliable man behind her to support her safety. Therefore, even if this press conference was broadcasted live, the public opinion would definitely turn against her. However, she wasn't afraid. She believed that her man would protect her. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. This was the man's promise to her. Because of this sentence, she believed that no matter how the public opinion was against her, Mu Yaja would eventually turn the situation around. The press conference was over. The TV station soon played the next program, but Xiao Shui was still sitting in front of the TV. Her eyes were empty, and no one knew what she was thinking. At night, Yin Shishir sent Xiao Shui back to the Xiao family. Along the way, Xiao Shui was strangely silent. Her face was full of guilt, helplessness, and uneasiness. She looked at Yin Shishir's side profile again and again, but in the end, she didn't say anything. When they arrived at the door, Yin Shishir unlocked it and said to her, I'll send you here today. Go home and rest early. Don't let your thoughts run wild, okay? Shishir Shui. Yin Shishir gently covered the back of her hand and smiled gently. I'm not alone. Even if the whole world doubts me and betrays me, I'm definitely not alone. So, don't worry too much about me, okay? It's all my fault. I'm sorry. Do you have to be so formal with me? Yin Shishir smiled faintly. I believe that everything will be fine. Xiao Shui nodded, pushed the door open, and got out of the car. The car sped away. Xiao Shui watched her leave and stood there for a long time until Mrs. Xiao heard the sound of the car engine and rushed out. Seeing her standing alone outside the door, she immediately greeted her with a worried look. Why are you back so late? Where did he go? You didn't even answer my calls. I was so worried. Mom. Before Xiao Shui could say anything, tears began to fall from her eyes. On the way, Yin Shishir received a call from an unknown number. When she picked it up, she heard Gao Nan's smug and arrogant voice. How is it? Did you watch the press conference? Gao Nan, it's you. The man smiled and then asked meaningfully, how was it? Was the press conference exciting? Yin Shishir took a deep breath and sneered. Yes, I didn't expect your acting to be so good. If I wasn't the person involved, I would have believed your nonsense. Oh, you flatter me. Do you know that you're spreading rumors? It's slander. Yin Shir suddenly became agitated and blushed. Aren't you afraid of retribution for defaming my innocence? Retribution? What retribution? Chapter 26:26. What do you mean by that? There's a moment of silence on the other end before he said meaningfully, Leave Mu Yaja and be with me. I'll hold another press conference to expose Jian's lies and clear your name. Dream on. Yin Shir retorted without hesitation. You're more despicable and shameless than I thought. Did you deliberately perjure yourself just to force me to submit to you? Although it's a little despicable, I only care about the result and not the process. Gao Nan suddenly smiled and said viciously, I, Gao Nan, have never failed to get a woman I want. Even if you don't belong to me, I'll do whatever it takes to get you. Yin Shir hung up the phone angrily and threw it into the back seat. She then gripped the steering wheel tightly with a deep look in her eyes. Jian's press conference was like a bomb that completely ignited the topic of unspoken rules in the entertainment industry. Unspoken rules had always been a taboo in the entertainment industry. There was a tacit understanding between each other, but it was rarely exposed to the public. In the minds of fans, be it popular starlets or superstars, they were all as beautiful and otherworldly as they appeared on the screen. This was especially true for Yin Shir. Through the movie The Green Apple, she had always been pure, sweet, and harmless in the eyes of her fans. However, the eruption of this incident completely put her in the center of public opinion. All the media outlets took action when they heard about it and began to capture rumors and gossip about her. Some reporters even interviewed Yin Shir's junior high school and college classmates. They used all means possible to present all of her unbearable past in front of the public. 2 days later, Phoenix Media released a video. In the video, a reporter conducted an in-depth interview with Yin Shir's former college classmates and conducted an anonymous interview with them. The video was edited, and the voices were blurred and the faces were pixelated. Everything was post-processed to protect the privacy of the informant. Yin Shir is very famous in our school. She was in the class next to mine and was the campus belle when she was in college. Many boys liked her, but she didn't seem to have been in a relationship before. Many of them thought that she was very aloof. However, I actually have a good impression of her, though I heard that her family was very poor. She and I were in the same grade. When we were still in school, I heard that her family owed a lot of debts, and she seemed to be in need of money. Many people said that she was so desperate for money that she would do anything to get it. I used to take electives with her. I remember that she didn't like to talk, but her grades were very good, so all the teachers liked her. I haven't heard any bad rumors about her. I don't like to pry into other people's privacy. Sorry, I can't say much. Chapter 26:27. She seemed to have taken a break from school for a while when she was in her second year of university. Later on, I heard that she got pregnant by accident. There are many versions of this incident, but the most popular one is that she got pregnant by accident, went through the procedures to take a break from school, and secretly gave birth to the child. I heard that she got a lot of money and paid off her family's debts. Actually, I feel that she's quite pitiful. She's so young, yet she has to sell her body like that. Yin Shir is my senior. She usually takes care of me academically, but I heard that her reputation in school isn't very good. I heard that she entered the entertainment industry and is very popular. If it weren't for this interview, I wouldn't have known that the actress who plays Yin Xiaochuan is the same person as her. Some of the rumors about her haven't been confirmed yet, but she gives me the feeling that she's very virtuous. Most of the men in class regard her as a goddess. Every morning, I can find a lot of love letters and chocolates on her desk, and even expensive bags and phones. This anonymous interview instantly spread all over the internet. Overnight, her Weibo followers increased by more than a few million, and it was still increasing. However, such an increase didn't mean that it was a good thing for her. Many fans followed her, but they went to her Weibo to criticize her, humiliate her, and complain about her. Shameless mistress. I hate mistresses the most. They're the most shameless people who get involved in other people's relationships. Although one was willing to hit and the other was willing to be hit, seducing someone else's boyfriend is extremely shameless. I used to like you because of the movie The Green Apple. Now that I think about it, it's really disgusting. I actually have a good impression of a third party. Shameless. Mistress. Yin Sure. How dare you get involved in other people's relationships? You deserve to be killed by a car. Why aren't you dead yet? Get out of the entertainment industry quickly. Don't embarrass yourself here. Yin Sure, you're shameless. Shameless. Get out of the entertainment industry quickly. The topic hashtag Yin Sure, get out of the entertainment industry, hashtag quickly became a trending topic. Regarding the incident of her getting involved in other people's relationships, the internet instantly formed a mighty army of anti-fans. They ran to her Weibo and bombarded her with comments filled with righteous indignation. They scolded, cursed, and humiliated her. Netizens were extremely sensitive to the keyword third party. Perhaps many of them had experienced betrayal due to their feelings, so they hated the third party even more and empathized with them. Cyber violence was extremely terrifying. It could completely destroy a person without harming them at all. During this period, Huan Yu was on high alert and cut short all of her public announcements. In order to deal with her matter, Qin Zhou was extremely busy. This incident had already become a phenomenon of cyber violence. No matter how many public relations teams Huan Yu employed, it seemed to be quite difficult to quell the public's resentment. Over the past few days, Yin Sure had not checked her Weibo. At the same time, there was a strange atmosphere on set. Ji Yin did not come to the set for the past few days. The director originally wanted to give her some time off, but Yin Sure insisted on filming. She had no choice but to make herself busier. Otherwise, she really didn't know how to deal with the current situation. Chapter 26-28. For the past few days, he hadn't been online much. Moreover, Yin Sure had rushed to the set early in the morning and sometimes came home late. Hence, he didn't notice that something was amiss. On this day, Yin Sure had to work late at night. She had to film 2 scenes at night, so she didn't come home that night. After school, he went out to buy groceries and happened to see an entertainment newspaper that was on sale. He usually didn't pay attention to the newspaper and walked past it most of the time. However, the headline of the newspaper was too eye-catching. It was a large photo of Yin Sure with a red circle. There was a candid photo in the background. In the photo, the lighting was extremely dim. He could only vaguely make out that the female lead in the photo was his dear mommy. However, the headline was, "The popular starlet who shot to fame overnight in the Green Apple was caught in a scandal after cheating on her boyfriend." He was shocked. He rushed to the newspaper stand and took a look. Then, he took out some change and bought the newspaper. When he got home, he read it carefully. The more he read, the angrier he got. Cheating? Seducing? How is that possible? Mommy was already married. Even if Mommy and Daddy weren't married, such a thing wouldn't have happened. Xiaoqian had just finished his homework and walked out. He saw Yu sitting on the sofa with a gloomy expression. There was a newspaper on the table next to him. Out of curiosity, he reached out to take it. Yu noticed his movement from the corner of his eye. He immediately stood up and snatched the newspaper away. "Don't look." Xiaoqian was shocked by his sudden movement. He widened his eyes and asked curiously, "What's wrong? What can I look at?" Yu clutched the newspaper tightly and frowned. He suddenly said, "It's about Mommy's scandal. It's all fake. It's made up by the heartless media. Don't look at it." "What? Mommy's scandal?" Xiaoqian immediately reached out to grab the newspaper. Yu was caught off guard, and the newspaper in his hand was snatched away by Xiaoqian. Before he could stop Xiaoqian had already skimmed through the newspaper. His eyes were burning with rage. He was so angry that he immediately tore the newspaper into pieces and threw on the ground. Who wrote that? What kind of nonsense was this? Mommy seduced a man? How could this be? Who wrote this? Yu's eyes suddenly flickered, and he immediately rushed into the study and turned on the computer. However, as soon as he turned on the computer, he saw that the web page was unexpectedly closed. Out of curiosity, he clicked on it and saw that it was actually a video of Ji Yan's press conference. He clicked on the play button, and after a while, the video was presented to him in its entirety. Xiaoqian followed them into the study and sat down beside Yu. The two little guys suppressed their anger and watched the entire video. By the end, Yu was so angry that he almost smashed the keyboard. Lunatic! Scum! This is obviously a rumor and slander. Yu said in exasperation. Mommy would never do that. Does Daddy know about this? No, he doesn't. Yu thought about it for a while, and then opened Weibo. He would occasionally browse Weibo. For his mommy's sake, he had deliberately set up his Weibo account and only followed his mommy. He would also secretly follow some of his mommy's activities and enjoyed it. Chapter 26-29. On Weibo, Yin Shishir's scandal was getting more and more heated. The internet was flooded with denunciations of Yin Shishir, the third party, with the intention of using public opinion to drive her out of showbiz. Yin Shishir, you shameless vixen. Get out of showbiz quickly and stop embarrassing yourself in front of us. Boycott all products endorsed by Yin Shishir and Lethal Beauty. There's definitely something wrong with a woman with such low morals acting in a TV series. That's right. I don't know what famous directors like Lin Fengtian and Gu Xiaoyang are thinking. How could they invite a woman like Yin Shishir to act in a TV series? Aren't they afraid of tarnishing their work? That's disgusting. I felt nauseous the whole night after finding out about this. Because of my own feelings, I've also been involved with a third party before. So, I hate third parties to the core. There are scourges like Yin Shishir among women. That's why so many innocent girls have their hearts broken. The more Yu read, the angrier he became. He was actually very happy to see his mommy leave showbiz, but he would never allow her to be driven out of showbiz in such a manner. More than that, he would not allow anyone to tarnish his mommy's reputation. At the thought of this, he immediately contacted Li Hanlin and ordered him to investigate Gao Nan's background. Half a quarter of an hour later, Li Hanlin reported everything he knew about the man to him. His uncle is Wang Chuanda. Wang Chuanda was the CEO of Wank Real Estate. Although he had never dealt with him before, he knew that the man was a formidable figure. Still, Gao Nan, who was related to him by blood, had such a disgusting face. Director Yin, did Gao Nan do something to offend you? Oomph. That man has offended me more than just a little. Yu continued expressionlessly. He's completely pissed me off. Wang Chuanda, right? Even if I have to offend him, I won't let Gao Nan off. Hanlin, send a car to pick me up immediately. Yes. After hanging up the phone, Yu pretended to leave. Xiao Chen immediately followed behind and asked, Where are you going? I have something to do. Don't follow me. I won't. Xiao Chen walked in front of him angrily, looking frustrated. You're going to handle this alone again and leave me at home? Why can't I go? Mui Chen, I'm warning you. Once I get angry, I'm not the usual Yin Tianyu. Don't follow me. There are some things that you can't get involved in. Why can't I? Xiao Chen was so agitated that his face turned red. You're my younger brother. What can you do, but I can't? You must be looking for Gao Nan, right? I'm with you. I have to protect you. I don't need your protection. Mui Chen said firmly. You need it, because I'm your brother. Yu was stunned. He looked at him blankly before his lips curled into a smile. Okay, I got it. If you're not afraid of being led astray by me, then follow me. Oomph. You're kidding. My younger brother isn't bad. Only then did Little Chen smile and hold his hand. The two lads walked out of the study with their arms around each other's shoulders, only to see Mu Yaja sitting elegantly on the sofa in the living room with his legs crossed. His aura was domineering. Chapter 26-30. The two boys were probably immersed in their anger over the video of the press conference, so they did not notice the commotion outside the door. Mu Yaja, with his arms crossed, sized them up calmly, his deep, handsome eyes scrutinizing them. Where are you going? His sudden question caught the two little lads off guard. Yu did not want him to know that he was going to settle scores with Gao Nan, so he pursed his lips and turned his head away. Mu Yaja's scrutinizing gaze landed on Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen had always experienced his imposing manner, so with just one look, he immediately lowered his head guiltily and stammered. We're going to sunbathe. He was not good at lying. Whenever he wanted to lie, his face would turn red and his mind would go blank. No matter how he tried to lie, it sounded lame. Oh, Mu Yaja replied. Son, I think the sun has set. Yu stomped on his foot harshly, exasperated at his son's failure to live up to his expectations. Xiao Yiqin endured the pain and did not make a sound as he shot him a resentful look. However, Muyaja asked faintly, "Are you guys going to look for Gao Nan?" It was not a question, but a statement. "How did you know?" "I saw the torn newspaper on the floor." Muyaja saw the newspaper, and with just one glance, he knew that Yu had begun to pay attention to this matter. Given his understanding of his son's character, whenever someone bullied his mommy, he would immediately investigate the person's background thoroughly. Then, he would return an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, and return the grievances his mommy had suffered 1,000 times over. Yu was like that. He could not bear to see his mommy suffer, even a little. "Mommy has been slandered as a third party. Don't you know about this?" Muyaja hummed expressionlessly. "I know. You know about this?" Yu was extremely shocked. She went up to him angrily and asked, since Daddy knew about this, why didn't he do anything? "Are you just going to watch Mommy get slandered and wronged?" "I've been preparing." "Prepare for what?" Muyaja suddenly grabbed his chin and whispered a few words into his ear. Yu's face instantly froze. His anger dissipated and was replaced by a look of utter astonishment. "Daddy, are you really going to announce this?" "Yes." Xiao Yiqin didn't hear anything and immediately ran over curiously. With a strange expression, he asked, "What did Daddy say?" I'm not telling you." Yu also started to keep her in suspense. Xiao Yiqin was instantly flustered. Yu pushed him aside in disdain and turned to ask, "Then, Daddy, are you going to let Gao Nan off just like that?" "Of course not." Muyaja had investigated this matter. He even found out that Gao Nan had threatened his wife with the condition of being a mistress. As the emperor of Huanyu, he had many eyes and ears in the entertainment industry. With his extensive influence, he could find out exactly what had happened that night. It wasn't as if there were no witnesses at the scene. A waiter who passed by the washroom had heard the intense argument between the two. Even now, Gao Nan was still coveting his woman. As a man, this was definitely an intolerable provocation. "Then, why haven't you dealt with him yet?" Chapter 26:31. It's so boring to just deal with it. Muyaja cursed inwardly for a while before his lips curled into a sinister smile. "My good son, have you thought of any fun tricks?" Yu racked his brains for a long time before his eyes lit up and he laughed sinisterly. Even Mu Yichin, who was watching from the side, could not help but feel a chill run down his spine and up his spine from the bottom of his feet. "Daddy, do you know that there's a saying? You'll have to swallow 1,000 needles if you lie." The night was dark. In the villa's huge bedroom, the sound of a man and a woman panting to their heart's content could be heard. The battle lasted for a long time before it finally ceased. Another half an hour later, the door finally opened. An exquisitely dressed woman walked out. Although she was dressed modestly, her messy hair showed just how intense the battle had been. Gao Nan walked out of the bathroom and leaned against the door. He looked at the woman's back as she fixed her hair in front of the dressing mirror and raised a brow. "You're leaving already?" "Yes. It's getting late. I'll give you a lift." "No need. I've already driven." The woman looked back and smiled as she twirled the keys in her hand. This Audi R8 was a birthday gift from Gao Nan a few days ago. He smiled and tried to persuade her to stay. "At least, have a drink with me before you leave." The woman saw through his thoughts and snorted. "Do you want me to stay here for the night because I can't drive after drinking?" He smiled. "Why? You don't want to?" "I really can't today," she said solemnly. Gao Nan's face quickly sank. His cold expression showed just how displeased he was at the moment. The woman immediately walked up to him and lazily hooked her arm around his shoulder. She then said coquettishly, "I really can't tonight. I have an appointment with a few sisters to play cards. I can't stand you up. Tomorrow night, okay? You won't have this chance tomorrow. There will be another woman replacing you." He said it so coldly that it sounded like a threat. Startled, the woman hugged his shoulder and kissed him repeatedly. "Darling, don't be like this. It's not that I don't want to accompany you. I'm just afraid that if I'm late, the paparazzi will be waiting for news like last time. When that happens, I'll be staying here for the night again. You'll definitely be troubled." He did not say anything, but he silently agreed to her words. The woman left reluctantly after a deep kiss with him. Losing interest, Gao Nen slowly walked to the bar counter and pulled out an aged bottle of dry red wine. Just as he was about to open it, the doorbell rang. He raised his eyebrows suspiciously, thinking that this woman had thought it through and came back to look for him. Thus, he lazily walked to the door and opened it, but there was no one outside. Just as he was about to close the door, it was blocked by a small, tender hand. Startled, Gao Nen immediately lowered his head to look, only to see a well-dressed little lad standing at the door with a smile on his face. His posture was refined and elegant. Sorry to disturb. Disturbing. Gao Nen frowned and coldly asked, "Who are you?" As soon as he said that, Yu pushed the door open a wider gap. Gao Nen was surprised to see a boy slightly taller than him standing beside him. Although their facial features were identical, the aura they exuded was different. Chapter 2632. Where did this kid come from? Yu politely asked, "Can we come in?" "What for?" Gao Nen was flustered. He did not have the leisure to deal with two homeless children. Losing his patience, he moved to close the door, but Mui Chin was even more impatient. Seeing that he was about to close the door, he kicked it open. Gao Nen was caught off guard and fell to the ground from the impact. Mui Chin's strength was so terrifying that cracks appeared on the high-quality solid wood door. Yu gracefully walked in. "Sorry to disturb you." Mui Chin entered the room as well, but his expression was no longer friendly. Like a lion cub, he glanced at him coldly from the corner of his eyes. Unable to contain his anger, he lunged forward and grabbed the lapel of his bathrobe. Clenching his fists, he was about to land a punch on his face. Behind him, however, came the man's cold voice. "Shaoi Chin, don't mess around." "Daddy." Shaoi Chin pouted and glanced at the door. "I don't have the patience to talk nonsense with him. Let's beat him up first." Gao Nen was at a loss as to why the two children had barged into his house. He did not know what kind of capabilities these kids had to be able to come here and spout nonsense. However, when he heard Mui Chin's words, he followed his line of sight to the door. Muyaja slowly walked in and closed the door indifferently. Perhaps it was because he was lying on the ground, but at that moment, the tall and slender man's image suddenly towered in Gao Nan's eyes. He was like an insurmountable mountain that buried him in the dark shadows. "Muyaja, why are you here?" Muyaja coldly curled his lips into a playful smile. "Are you surprised to see a stray dog like me?" A stray dog? How did he know that Gao Nen had been criticizing him behind his back? Ever since Muyaja stepped down from the Mu group, Gao Nen had been teasing him and calling him a stray dog. This was an undeniable fact. What he did not know was that Muyaja was the founder of Xingyu Financial Group. "You? How did you?" Before Gao Nen could finish his words, he suddenly realized something. It was as if a taut nerve in his brain had snapped. He looked at the child who was grabbing his lapel and compared it to Muyaja's face. Suddenly, he understood something. This is his child? Upon closer inspection, this child's eyebrows and eyes look very similar to Yun Shishir. Is this their child? Gao Nen sucked in a breath of cold air in shock. Yun has a child? What? What do you want? Mui Chin, let him go, Muyaja ordered. Mui Chin refused to let go. The man sighed, walked over, and held the angry little guy in his arms. Mui Chin struggled for a while, but Muyaja immediately stopped him. Be good. Mui Chin reluctantly learned to be obedient. Muyaja walked over and sat down on the sofa with Mui Chin in his arms. Then, he whispered in his ear, "Little fool, we're only responsible for watching the show today." Shaoi Chin. Chapter 2633. After a moment of shock and anger, the corners of his lips twitched. "Young Master Mu, what are you doing? Why did you bring your family to my house?" "Uncle Gao, on account of your uncle being the CEO of Wank Group, Wang Chuanda, can I give you a piece of advice?" Advice? The more Gao Nen listened, the more incredulous he found it. He could not help but laugh in anger. "What kind of attitude are you using to talk to me?" Yu blinked gently and did not say a word, only looking at him. Gao Nen continued. "You said you want to give me a piece of advice. I'm all ears. You can tell me what advice you want to give me. I've seen the video of that press conference. Uncle Gao, you're really thick-skinned. You didn't even blink when you lied. Still, if you hold a press conference tomorrow to clarify this matter, I won't hold it against you." His soft and innocent voice was clear and pleasant to the ear. Yu Yu's voice was still as childish as Su Rian's, but it was very pleasant to the ears. The man laughed out loud. "Are you ordering me around?" "Yes." He admitted it directly. "I don't intend to discuss this with you. You have to do this because a good child shouldn't lie." Gao Nen was stunned for a moment before he laughed contemptuously. "Why do you have to order me around?" After a pause, he glanced at Mu Yaja from the corner of his eye. "Just because you're a stray dog for a father?" "A stray dog?" Yu Yu looked at Mu Yaja in surprise and then burst into laughter. The latter's face instantly turned ashen. "Daddy, why did he say that you're a stray dog?" Mu Yaja did not reply. Gao Nen coldly said, "Daddy? Hee, what a childish way of addressing me." He did not want to argue with a child, so he turned to Mu Yaja and said coldly, "Mu Yaja, I used to respect you because you were the CEO of the Mu Group and the rightful successor of Dishing Financial Group. At that time, you were really in a prominent position. You didn't even put my uncle in your eyes. In front of you, he's as obedient as a grandson. When you show off your strength to him, he doesn't even dare to fart. Due to my uncle's prestige, I had no choice but to obediently lower my head to you. But in my heart, I have never been convinced by you. Who do you think you are? You're just born a little better than me. Other than that, you're more capable than me. But other than that, what else do you have that's better than me?" After a pause, he sneered again. "But what's that saying again? As the saying goes, every dog has its day. You're no longer the CEO of Mu Group. You're no longer as glorious as you used to be. You're also no longer the future successor of Mu Group that everyone respects. I heard that you were expelled from the Mu family. How is it? How did it feel to fall from the peak to the bottom of the abyss overnight? Wasn't it humiliating? I don't know how miserable your life is right now, but your woman has been wronged, and you actually brought 2 stray dogs to me to get to the bottom of it? Hee, who do you think you are now? What can you do to me?" Mu Yaja was not angered by his blatant humiliation. Instead, he smiled elegantly and said unhurriedly, "You're right about one thing, but you're also wrong about another." "What do you mean?" Gao Nen did not understand what he meant. Chapter 2634. "What do you mean? I used to have a prominent status, and your uncle was as obedient as a grandson whenever he saw me. This is true. Every dog has its day, and now that I'm down and out, I'm no longer as glorious as I used to be. This isn't right." Gao Nen was dumbfounded. Mu Yaja looked at him coldly. Suddenly, he gave him a deep smile with a hint of devilish charm in his eyes. "That's because I'm even more glorious than before. Do you think that I can't do anything to you just because I'm no longer the Mu Group CEO? You seem to be a little naive. I hope you understand one fact. Even if you die in my hands today, your family won't blame it on me." Gao Nen was exasperated. "What bullshit asterisk tea are you spouting?" He was also getting impatient. "Gao Nen, at the end of the day, you just don't want to clarify this matter, right? You don't have the right to speak here." Yu Yu's face darkened when he heard that, and his eyes turned sharp. In the next second, Mu Yichin jumped down from Mu Yaja's lap, walked up to him, and raised his head to ask, "Then, may I ask why my brother doesn't have the right to speak?" Before Gao Nen could respond, Mu Yichin's eyes turned cold as he delivered a karate chop to his knee at lightning speed. The man let out a muffled groan as his eyes turned ferocious. In the next second, his legs gave way, and he fell to his knees. Pain. It was an extraordinary pain. He did not know how much strength this lad had used, but when his hand chopped at his knee, he actually heard the sound of bone cracking. "Kneel and talk." Gao Nen glared at him fiercely. "Are you kidding me? You want me to kneel before a child? Is that even possible?" He got down on one knee, and his body swayed for a while before he tried to stand up. When Mu Yichin saw this, he lifted his leg and gave him another kick. With a crack, the man's leg joint was broken. "Ah!" Disregarding his poise, he groaned as he hugged his knees and fell to the ground. Mu Yichin coldly took a step forward, lifted his leg, and stomped hard on the man's knee. The broken part was crushed by gravity again, and the man broke out in a cold sweat from the pain. "Must you suffer a little before you become obedient?" Yu Yu suddenly stood up and walked to his side. She squatted down and patted his cheek with her little hand. She frowned in confusion. Am I too gentle with you? Is that why you don't take me seriously? What are you trying to do? Asked the man through gritted teeth. You bully my mommy. Can I bully you back? Yu sneered and looked him up and down. Her beautiful eyes narrowed into 2 crescent moons. Let's play a game, okay? Although the lad had an elegant smile on his face, his eyes were too gloomy. It was not a look a child should have. Gao Nan's lips quivered in disappointment. He could not help mocking the lad inwardly. He had lived for so long, yet he had never been frightened by a child's gaze. Yu asked airily, do you know that if a person lies, he or she has to swallow 1,000 needles? What? I used to wonder how a person would react if he or she swallowed 1,000 needles. It must be very interesting, right? Do you want to give it a try? Gao Nan retreated in shock. He suddenly felt that the child in front of him was terrifying. Chapter 2635. Yu furrowed his brows and pouted. It's better for you to cooperate. If you struggle, you'll suffer a lot, and the gains won't make up for the losses. Don't mess around. Gao Nan panicked all of a sudden. It was true that this was a child of about 6 or 7 years old, which was still very young, but from the sharp look in his eyes, it did not seem like he was joking. He subconsciously looked at Mu Yaja, only to see Mu Yiqin walking up to him and strangling him from behind. Gao Nan struggled violently, but Mu Yiqin did not give him the chance to do so. Using his hand as a knife, he viciously chopped at his shoulder. With a clear sound of dislocation, he actually dislocated Gao Nan's shoulder joint. Gao Nan cried out in pain as cold sweat drenched his back. Alas, Mu Yiqin did not give him any chance to breathe. With another crack, he twisted Gao Nan's elbow and twisted it into a weird angle. Gao Nan was completely powerless to struggle. Mu Yiqin grabbed his hair and, without knowing where his strength came from, Gao Nan felt himself being thrown to the ground. With a loud bang, the back of his head hit the ground hard, and his brain was in turmoil. At that moment, he was completely flustered. He suddenly realized that, although it was hard to believe, these 2 children were not easy to deal with. This was especially so when he saw Yu take out a small box from his pocket and gently open it. Inside were silver needles of varying thickness. Some were pins, some were thumbtacks, and some were very small needles. He carried the box to Gao Nan, squatted down in front of him, and smiled with narrowed eyes. Then the game shall begin. No, don't. Gao Nan shook his head desperately. His eyes widened in panic as he finally understood what fear was. He immediately begged for mercy. No, this game isn't fun at all. I won't play with you. You don't have the final say in this. No, I'll die. Perhaps it was because he had 1 foot in the jaws of death that he finally understood the seriousness of the matter. As a man, his eyes turned red from fear, and he immediately said, I promise you. I'll hold a press conference tomorrow and explain everything to the public. That day, everything I said that day was a lie. I was just playing along with Ji Yan's act. I was just trying to smear Yun Shirshi's reputation because I couldn't get her. I can say whatever you want, so let me go, okay? His frantic pleading did not elicit any response from Yu. He furrowed his delicate eyebrows and tilted his head in distress. What should I do? I've already changed my mind. Even if you immediately hold a press conference, I still won't forgive you. Mr. Mu. Gao Nan immediately struggled to turn around and beg Mu Yaja for mercy. From the corner of his eye, he saw the man calmly taking out a cigarette box. With a flick of his wrist, the man put a cigarette in the corner of his mouth and quietly lit it. He slowly took a puff and turned a blind eye to the man's cries for mercy. Chapter 2636. Baby, be gentler. Mu Yaja finally opened his mouth to speak, but his tone was extremely sinister. Don't go overboard. Know when to stop. Okay. Got it, Daddy. Yu smiled obediently, looking like an elegant little gentleman. However, in Gao Nan's fearful eyes, this child with a warm smile was as terrifying as a little demon. Gao Nan watched as Xiao Yiqin walked up to him, grabbed his chin, and pinched his cheeks, forcing his mouth wide open. Yu held a box in one hand and a suture needle in the other as he slowly approached him with a smile. Ah, ah. In the middle of the night, an ambulance rushed into the hospital. A group of medical staff nervously carried out a trembling patient from the ambulance. Several doctors were already waiting at the entrance. Earlier, someone had called the police to report that someone had accidentally swallowed a silver needle and called for help. The doctors on duty were puzzled. Accidentally swallowed a silver needle. They had been doctors for so many years, and they had seen many ignorant children swallow many strange things by mistake. However, an adult, and a mentally sound adult at that, actually swallowed it by mistake for a while. Could it be that he was mentally deranged? The patient who was sent to the hospital was none other than Gao Nan. His body was stiff as he lay on the stretcher, and his muscles were twitching nonstop. The doctor's initial diagnosis was that the patient was suffering from epilepsy. However, when he was sent to the emergency room and examined carefully, he was shocked to find that the reason why the patient was trembling was because his joints had been severely dislocated. In some places, there were even signs of dislocation, which affected his nerves. That was why he was trembling. The most shocking thing, though, was the patient's mouth. It was a ghastly sight, dripping with blood. His lips, tongue, and oral cavity were pierced with silver needles of different lengths. Some pierced through the tip of his tongue, while others pierced through the oral cavity. At a glance, it was truly chilling. It was hard to imagine how painful it was to have so many needles pierced through the mouth. The treatment of the wound was relatively simple. After all, it was not a major injury. As long as the needle was slowly pulled out, the bleeding was stopped, disinfected, and medicine was applied, there would be no major problems. However, the right wrist was obviously fractured, the left knee cap was cracked, and there were different contusions on the knee. The specific details would require a CT scan to understand the extent of the injury. Just as the doctor was about to push him into the X-ray room, the patient on the bed suddenly screamed and groaned. His facial features were distorted as he cried out in pain. "It hurts." "Ah? It hurts." The doctors thought that the pain was caused by a fracture. The nurse comforted him for a while, but the man suddenly straightened up. With a ferocious look in his eyes, he tugged at the doctor's sleeve and said with difficulty, I swallowed 3 needles. Take them out. Take them out." As soon as his voice fell, it seemed that he had used too much force, and he vomited another mouthful of blood. The doctors were shocked and immediately realized the seriousness of the matter. They began to examine him, only to realize that the man did not dare to speak because there was a very small needle in his throat. After the examination, they found that there were 2 more needles in his esophagus and stomach. If they did not handle it properly, his life would be in danger. Chapter 26:37. Gao Nan was immediately wheeled into the operating room. The surgery went on for an entire night before he barely made it through. Yu did not use too much force this time and did not make him swallow 1,000 needles. However, this incident caused Gao Nan's instinctive fear whenever he saw sharp objects. Of course, this was all in the future. Gao Nan was injured and hospitalized. The next day, the Gao family hurried to the hospital, but Gao Nan did not say anything in the face of their questions. He dare not say anything. He was truly afraid of the father-son trio from the bottom of his heart. They were too scheming and vicious. They dared to do what they said. This was especially true for that child named Yu, who was simply a little devil. Of course, Gao Nan did not dare to say anything. He only said that his throat was in severe pain and that he needed to rest. On the 3rd day of his hospitalization, Wang Chuan came. The moment he arrived, he dismissed everyone in the Gao family, saying that he had something to talk to Gao Nan alone. As soon as he closed the door, he turned around and sat in front of the bed. With a worried expression, he said, "Didn't I tell you to keep a distance from Muyaja? I even warned you that you are not allowed to have any ideas about his woman. What about you? Did you turn a deaf ear to my words?" Gao Nan lay on the bed with his eyes closed and brows furrowed, but he did not speak. Wang Chuanda continued, "Do you think that Muyaja is really a stray dog and has nothing left after leaving the Mu Group? Don't you know that he's the behind-the-scenes boss of Xingyu Financial Group, which has just been listed recently? Do you know that the Mu Group is now gnashing their teeth in hatred whenever they hear his name. Most of the Mu Group's resources are in his hands. Now that he's gone, he's leaving without looking back. At the same time, he's taking the Mu Group's core resources with him. What do you have to fight with him? This was the first time Gao Nen had heard of this matter. He knew about Xingyu Financial Group, but did not pay attention to it. Hence, he did not know that the behind-the-scenes boss was Mu Yaja. How is that possible? His throat was injured, so he could only utter some broken syllables. When Mu Yaja left the Mu Group, many core technical talents followed him to Xingyu. Some even abandoned their million-yuan annual salaries and jumped ship. Most of the senior figures left with him, leaving the Mu Group an empty shell. Do you think the Mu Group is still as glorious as before? As the saying goes, a starving camel is still bigger than a horse. I think Mu Group will soon be on its last legs. Gao Nan's eyes. I know that you'll fall for a woman sooner or later. Don't you know that there's a femme fatales? Because if you like them, they're you're too. It's you women, but not yous Mu. What mattered was that those who were willing to take the bait could not be forced. Who do you think you are? There's always someone better than you. There are countless men in the country who are more capable than you. You're to blame for thinking too highly of yourself. Gao Nen did not speak from beginning to end. Wang Chuanda glanced at his nephew and sighed. Fortunately, I've settled this matter for you. As long as you don't go looking for trouble with Yin Shi, Mu Yaja won't pick on you. Chapter 2638. He actually wanted to ask about the background of Mu Yaja's two sons, but he found it laughable at the same time. He had actually been defeated by two children. In the end, he felt really bad about it. After thinking about it, he decided not to ask or say anything. During the few days that Gao Nan was hospitalized, the public opinion on the internet never stopped. At first, Huan Yu decided to deal with the matter coldly. They did not respond, acknowledge, refute, or deal with the matter because it would only make things worse. Moreover, Huan Yu could not come up with any substantial evidence to prove that Ji Yan's words were baseless slander. The more they tried to explain, the worse the situation would become, and it would only give Ji Yan an opportunity to take advantage of it. Alas, with Ji Yan's incessant efforts to hype things up, various PR articles were published, including those scolding Yin Shi as a shameless third party. For a time, this matter almost became a phenomenal event. Netizens scolded Yin Shi on the internet, on Tieba, and on Weibo. The whole internet was full of posts about the incident. Some netizens even dug out the content of the recording of the love diary. When Yin Shi and Gu Xingzhou were on a date, the innocence and naivety she showed were so dazzling now. Netizens mocked her for being pretentious and pretentious, pretending to be innocent and pure like a white lotus. What the netizens did not know was that these were all scripts provided by the program team, and Yin Shi was just following the script step by step. When the situation got out of hand, several actors who had a good relationship with Yin Shi stood up for Yin Shi. Among them, Yami was one of them. She posted on Weibo, "The innocent will always be innocent. Time will clear your name. All the best, girl." Netizens focused fire and insulted Yang Mi and the other actors who stood in Yin Shi's camp. Yang Mi's Weibo was the worst hit, with many netizens accusing her of using Huan Yu's popularity to create hype. She was so angry that she blocked the comments on Weibo and even almost logged out. Under Huan Yu's strict order, she could only suspend her updates. Yang Mi's Weibo was suspended, and Yin Shi's Weibo was also suspended by Huan Yu, prohibiting her from going online. All the parties involved in this incident suspended their Weibo. The netizens were full of anger and had nowhere to vent, so they targeted the production team of Lethal Beauty and the satellite channel that was broadcasting the TV series. The netizens jointly protested, saying that they didn't buy Yin Shi's TV series. All the satellite TV stations acted as if they were facing a great enemy, and their viewership ratings plummeted. The production team had no choice but to announce to the public that it was due to sensitive content changes, and they suspended the broadcast of the series. This was the first time in history that, due to the spontaneous boycott of the netizens, the satellite channel and the production team were forced to stop broadcasting a drama. The scariest thing was quite a number of fans got angry and went to the set of Extreme Youth to cause trouble. However, Gu Xing's fans did not care. You can boycott your fans, I'll protect mine. Therefore, Gu Xing's and Yun Shishir's die-hard fans banded together and guarded the entrance of the set to protect their idol's safety. The fans of the two sides got into a conflict and fought at the entrance of the set. In the end, many people were injured. The media reported this incident, and soon, the production team of Extreme Youth also announced that they would suspend filming. We can't deal with it coldly anymore. Chapter 2639. If things continue to develop like this, things will only get out of hand. I know, Yin Shishir looked like she was having a headache. I don't know what I should do. I don't know how to explain it to them. I clearly didn't do it, but the funny thing is that the netizens are asking an innocent person to provide evidence to prove her innocence. Fans are very blind because they only believe what they hear and see. Once the first impression is the strongest, the subsequent words will be regarded as sophistry, and it's difficult to trust them. Especially you, Shishir. Being beautiful is your strength, but it's also your weakness. Women make up the majority of the fan base, and they will instinctively resist and reject beautiful women if there's even the slightest flaw in them. Do you understand this principle? Yin Shishir nodded gently and hummed. I understand. It's good that you understand. I thought things wouldn't become so serious. Wouldn't become so serious? Jilin suddenly opened a drawer, took out a stack of letters, and spread them out in front of her. Yin Shishir was startled and asked in surprise, "What are these?" "These are letters sent to you by your fans. Of course, don't think too much about it. They're either dead rats, razor blades, or even more disgusting things." As soon as the incident broke out, Ji Yin immediately hired the best public relations team in the country to handle it. It had to be said that the public relations team's methods were really brilliant. Not only did they exaggerate that Ji Yin was hurt by love and committed suicide by cutting her wrists, but they also tarnished Yun Shishir's image. Yun Shishir looked at the letters, some of which were still unopened, but she didn't need to think to know what kind of vicious words were contained in them. Her fans must have hated her to the core and were utterly disappointed in her. She once thought that it would be better to take this opportunity to withdraw from the entertainment industry and disappear completely. But on the other hand, she was unwilling to give up. Wouldn't that make her look like a coward? She clearly didn't do anything wrong, but once she announced her withdrawal from the entertainment industry, it would look like she had a guilty conscience and admit to it. She didn't do anything wrong, so why should she withdraw from the entertainment industry? Ji Yin was the one who made a mistake, and she was the one who wanted to leave the entertainment industry. With this resentment, she had persevered until now amidst all the slander. She didn't let Muyajin know about this. He only said that he would arrange everything, so she endured the humiliation and waited. However, when she saw the pile of letters again, Yun Shishir finally couldn't hold on any longer. The grievances that she had endured for the past few days all turned into tears. However, she stubbornly bit her lips and didn't let her tears flow. "I'm sorry for the trouble." She sincerely apologized. She had handled her personal affairs inappropriately and had caused the company to bear so much pressure. Jilin looked at her guilty face, and his usual cold face finally broke the ice, showing a helpless and distressed look. He had always been very strict with her. He rarely smiled at her. For Yun Shishir, he was like a strict teacher, but more like a strict father. He had strict requirements for her, and her execution ability was also very high. She was the most obedient artist in the company. Even if she often caused trouble for him, her character was very sincere. Jilin thought about it. Was he being too strict with her? Chapter 2640. After all, she was a girl. Wasn't he being too harsh on her? Looking at Yun Shishir's aggrieved expression, his heart, which had always been as cold as ice, finally softened a little. He shouldn't be so harsh on her. She was the one who had been wronged, but in the end, she was the innocent party. Wasn't she silently bearing the pressure too? Thinking of this, Jilin smiled helplessly. It's not considered causing trouble. It's my responsibility to clean up the mess for you. This is what I should do. I don't mean to blame you either. Yin Shishir raised her head and looked at him. Jilin continued. You know that I've never been good at expressing myself. I'm very serious when it comes to work, and I'm also very strict with the artists under me. However, that aggrieved expression on your face just now reminded me of my sister. She always blames me for not being good with words and smiles. She always has a serious expression and is not easy to get close to. Yin Shishir didn't know why Ji Lin suddenly said this. However, when she saw his gentle expression, she actually felt a rare sense of closeness. Yin Shishir stuttered for a while and suddenly said, "Director, I'm not used to you being like this. You should keep a straight face." Ji Lin was speechless. Did this stupid woman have masochistic tendencies? He suddenly changed the topic. "I heard that you're leaving the entertainment industry." Yin Shishir was stunned and nodded. "Yeah, it's good to leave the entertainment industry. This industry doesn't suit you. In this industry, you'll easily be taken advantage of if you don't have some tricks up your sleeve. Chairman Mu is a good husband. Even if you don't work, he can still support you. It's not a bad choice to leave the entertainment industry and be a full-time housewife. This isn't a shameful thing. You should feel happy." Ji Lin rarely said such things to her. Yin Shishir couldn't help but feel flattered. However, even if you're leaving the entertainment industry, you have to leave in a dignified manner. You can't be embarrassed at all. Otherwise, me, and Huan Yu won't be satisfied. Then what should I do? How should I deal with it? Yin Shishir was at a loss for a moment. Ji Lin deliberated for a while and was about to speak when Qin Zhou's playful voice suddenly came from a door. "What else can you do? Hold a press conference and checkmate her." Yin Shishir was stunned. The two of them turned to look at the door. Qin Zhou, who had entered and was leaning against the door with a determined expression. Ji Lin frowned. "How did you get in? The door's not locked. Don't knock." Qin Zhou's face turned cold. When Qin Zhou heard this, he immediately raised his hand and gently knocked on the door. Instead, he smiled. "Is it done? CEO Ji. Come in." Qin Zhou walked in and took a seat beside her. Unlike his previous dejection, the current him had returned to his former high-spirited appearance. Seeing his spirited appearance, Ji Lin raised his eyebrows. "Have you thought a countermeasure?" "Yes. Chairman Mu said that it's time to hold a press conference to clarify this matter." "A press conference?" Yin Shishir was stunned. Ji Lin asked, "What plans do you have? What else can we do? Let's have Shishir and Ji Yin face each other. A face-to-face confrontation." "Ji Yin won't come," Yin Shishir said suddenly. "If it's a face-to-face confrontation, it'll be disadvantageous for her. She won't put herself in danger. The current situation is in her favor. She won't attend the press conference." Chapter 26:41. "How is that possible?" Yin Shishir asked again. "How are you going to invite her to the event?" Qin Zhou winked mysteriously. "Listen to my arrangements when the time comes." "Yes, sir." 2 days later, many media outlets received invitations. Under Mu Yaja's instructions, Qin Zhou sent out invitations to 10 authoritative media outlets about Yin Shishir's official apology to Ji Yin. After a long time, Huan Yu's official Weibo finally updated its status. "There have been some rumors about our company's artist, Yin Shishir. We will hold a press conference to solemnly explain the facts and apologize to the public." As soon as the post was posted, there was an uproar. What does this mean? Could it be that Huan Yu had tacitly approved of this matter by issuing this notice? Some media celebrities also took pictures of the invitations they received and uploaded them to the internet, saying that Yin Shishir's agency would hold a grand press conference a week later to apologize to Ji Yin and clarify the facts. The netizens were completely shocked and restless. Yin Shishir finally admitted that she was the third party. Yin Shishir is going to apologize to Ji Yin. Many enthusiastic netizens went to Ji Yin's Weibo to encourage her to attend the press conference and face it head-on. There were even netizens who said that there was no need to be polite when dealing with a third party. They would directly slap her and humiliate her in front of the live broadcast camera. Some netizens even clamored that if they were invited to the press conference, they would definitely push Yin Shishir to the ground and trample her to death. Under the pressure of the public, even though Ji Yin was reluctant to show her face, She finally nodded in response to the expectations of the public and her passionate fans. If someone sincerely apologizes, I'm willing to forgive them generously. Immediately, some fans commented indignantly. Why should you forgive them? A third party doesn't deserve sympathy. Even if they cry and repent at the press conference, they won't be forgiven for the rest of their lives. Why should I forgive them? Don't forgive them. Yin Yin, I used to be a fan of that *TCH, but now I'm firmly on your side to defend love and dignity. Yin Yin, you're the best. Beat up the third party. The public's indignation towards the third party was surprisingly high. Ji Yin, on the other hand, was caught off guard by this announcement. Apologize? How could this be? Yin Shi is such a proud person. She would have to be crazy to lower her head and apologize to me. But you can't not participate. The person in charge of the public relations team said, Huan, you played their cards beautifully. If you don't go, the public will inevitably have some complaints about you. What's more, Huan Yu acted first and reported later, directly notifying all the reporters. All the reporters will be eager to report this matter. If you don't go, you'll be standing all the media up. The reports will definitely be written in a direction unfavorable to you. But actually, it doesn't matter if you go. When you're there, you just have to grit your teeth. No matter what tricks Shi plays, you just have to insist that she interfered in your relationship and that she's a despicable third party. When it was necessary, he could show off some tricks. The public liked it very much, and the media reporters were happy to see it happen. As a reporter, the more shocking the topic, the more interested they are. Chapter 2642. A week passed in the blink of an eye. The press conference hall was set up in the main venue of Huanyu Tower. Firstly, it was out of consideration for Yun Shi's personal safety. Secondly, it was arranged in Huanyu Tower so that the security would be under their control. The press conference was set to be held at 7 p.m. However, at 6 p.m., the media and reporters entered the venue one after another to set up their cameras and equipment. Everyone was on high alert, and the staff had already set up the venue early. This press conference was very grand. How grand was it? Many reporters were even puzzled by the fact that more than 100 seats were set up for a press conference. In addition to the 10 authoritative media outlets invited, there were also dozens of special press seats for media outlets and website portals. What was more surprising was that many foreign media outlets were also invited. Everyone looked at each other, not knowing what was going on. This was the theme of the press conference. Wasn't Shi going to apologize to the public for being a third party? Why did they invite foreign reporters then? Could this incident have alarmed the overseas media? Everyone was puzzled. Mushi had also arrived at the venue early. She saw that the venue was full of media seats, and the logos of various portals were placed in front of the tables. Looking at the crowded main venue, she stood at the side anxiously, not knowing if the press conference would go smoothly. Qin Zhou did not say much to her, only telling her not to express any opinions and just to follow his orders. She heard from a reporter friend that the theme of this press conference was that Yun Shi was going to apologize to Ji Yin on the spot. She was about to explode with anger. How could Qin Zhou do this? Shi clearly did nothing wrong. So why should she apologize to Ji Yin? Ji Yin should be the one apologizing, right? However, she thought of Qin Zhou's words. Moreover, the lass had been with him for so many years, so she had developed a sharp mind. She guessed that the man's thoughts were not so simple. Perhaps there would be a turn for the better at the press conference. Hence, she suppressed her anxiety and waited silently. Yun Shi arrived at the company early, but she was arranged to wait in the lounge by Qin Zhou. She had to appear last, or else it would be difficult to control the situation. 20 minutes before the press conference, Ji Yin suddenly appeared in the hall. As soon as the reporters saw her, they immediately swarmed around her. Countless microphones with logos were placed in front of her as everyone fought to be the first to ask her questions. Ji Yin, Yun Shi said that she would like to apologize to you in front of the public's eye. Can you please express your thoughts? Ji Yin, are you planning to retire from the eye? Ji Yin, what do you think of Yun Shi's indifference? Ji Yin's eye of the media's eyes, of the media's. Hers, G's, of the presses. If you have any questions, raise your hand after the press conference begins. The security guards immediately came over to maintain order. The scene was once out of control, and the crowd was crowded. Chapter 2643. In the office. When Qin Zhou walked in, Yun Shishir was memorizing the script. The script was marked with the questions the media wanted to ask and the draft answers he had prepared for her. Yun Shishir had originally said that she would be free to express herself, but because the media conference would be very grand, she could not be sloppy and could not afford to make any mistakes. Therefore, Qin Zhou had specially hired a public relations team to draft her lines overnight. Yun Shishir had a hard time memorizing the script. It was all formulaic. Although it was very powerful, memorizing every word was harder than reading a script. After memorizing it for a long time, she felt dizzy. "How is it? Have you memorized it?" Qin Zhou asked. Yun Shishir frowned. "Many of the answers are too formulaic. It's very difficult to memorize them." Qin Zhou looked at her with disappointment. Suddenly, he sighed. "It doesn't matter if you can't memorize it. No matter what, you just have to deal with the first half. Someone will help you deal with the second half." "What do you mean?" Yun Shishir looked at him in surprise, obviously a little puzzled by his words. "You don't have to ask too many questions. It will only confuse you. You just have to remember that no matter what Ji Yin says, you have to refute her without mercy. She's here today, so we've already won half the battle. Do you understand?" Yun Shishir nodded, as if she understood. At the overpass, the traffic was congested. It was the evening rush hour. Yu looked out of the window curiously, listening to the honking sound along the way. She asked anxiously, "Daddy, is there a traffic jam?" Muyaja gripped the steering wheel with a frown. It was obvious that he was feeling frustrated as well. The traffic today was especially congested. He had left the company early, but he did not expect to be delayed on the road. Originally, he should have arrived at the venue early, but because of the heavy traffic, he was delayed a lot. Xiao Chen was extremely nervous. Looking at the congested road, he said angrily, "With such a congested road, we'll be stuck halfway even if we arrive 2 hours early. There's still 10 minutes until the press conference." Yu glanced at her watch and said worriedly, "I don't know if Mommy can handle it." Then, the media would definitely ask a lot of difficult questions. "I'm just afraid that when the time comes, Mommy will panic and it will be too late for us to rush over." "No," Muyaja couldn't help but smile. "It won't be a problem for her to deal with the media." At 7 o'clock, the press conference started on time. The door opened, and Yun Shishir, Qin Zhou, and several senior executives of Huanyu slowly walked into the venue under the escort of bodyguards. The moment she walked into the venue, all the reporters gathered in the hall became excited and raised their cameras. In an instant, the large hall was as bright as day under the continuous flashing of the cameras. The reporters swarmed forward, regardless of the tall bodyguards surrounding Yun Shishir. They all extended their microphones to her. "Shishir, look over here. I'm a reporter from Phoenix Media. What's your ultimate intention for holding this press conference?" "Shishir, I heard that you're going to apologize to Ji Yin in person at tonight's press conference, right? Does this mean that you acquiesce to Ji Yin's accusations?" Chapter 2644. The reporters were dumbfounded. Then, Qin Zhou immediately said in a serious tone, "According to the invitation, Miss Shishir will apologize to the public for this incident at this press conference. Please don't confuse the public." After saying that, he walked toward the podium with Yun Shishir's arm. The reporters were left looking at each other in confusion. The bodyguards invited the reporters back to the media seats. At the same time, the cameraman turned on the equipment and officially broadcasted the live footage to the major websites and portals. The top executives of Huanyu took their seats one after another, with Yun Shishir and Qin Zhou sitting in the center, right next to Ji Yin. Along the way, which was neither too far nor too short, Ji Yin had been sizing her up without blinking. Yun Shishir wore a white chiffon blouse and a pair of black crop trousers today, which accentuated her long and slender legs. She looked slender and elegant. Unlike Ji Yin, who was dressed to the nines, This set of formal attire was simple yet elegant, pure and clean. Just like her name, she was beautiful and charming. Yin Shirshi's expression remained calm throughout. After taking her seat, she raised her head slightly, revealing her clear face and stubborn and proud eyes. Like plum blossoms in winter, she exuded an air of arrogance that absolutely could not be blasphemed. Ji Yin, who was sitting next to Yin Shirshir, although her facial features were exquisite, her temperament was obviously a far cry from her. She kept sneaking glances at Yin Shirshir when her eyes suddenly fell on the latter's slender fingers. It was a huge diamond ring that she had never seen before. Since the start of filming, Yin Shirshir would always take off her diamond ring in advance and keep it safe. Therefore, this was the first time Ji Yin saw this ring. She's engaged? Ji Yin was a little uncertain. She looked at Yin Shirshir's side profile again and again, but when she saw that the latter was still calm and collected, she finally felt a little uneasy. She suddenly realized that she shouldn't have come to tonight's press conference. As if realizing that Ji Yunshu was looking at her, Yin Shirshir suddenly shot her a glance. Their eyes met in midair, and Ji Yin was startled. She immediately turned her head away, pretending to be calm. However, she heard Ji Yunshu's lowered voice. If you're afraid and regretful, it's not too late to clarify things now. What? Ji Yin burst into laughter. What am I afraid of? What are you regretting? All right, let's wait and see. The press conference officially began. Order was maintained at the scene, and the hall suddenly quieted down. Everyone sitting on the stage turned on their microphones. First of all, Qin Zhou gave a simple speech to thank the various media outlets for taking the time to attend the press conference. He also thanked all the fans who were patiently waiting and paying attention. After the speech ended, Qin Zhou invited Huanyu's artistic director, Ji Lin, to give a speech. Some time ago, some people posted rumors about our company's artist, Ms. Yin Shirshir, on Weibo, Tieba, blogs, and the internet, which constantly hurt the feelings of fans and caused unbearable damage to Ms. Yin Shirshir's reputation. First of all, as the artistic director of Huanyu, I hereby declare that these rumors about Yin Shirshir's involvement in Ms. Ji Yin and Mr. Gao Nan's relationship are untrue. The audience burst into an uproar. Chapter 2645. Ji Yin, who was sitting at the side, turned pale and looked at Ji Lin in disbelief. She originally thought that Huanyu had no choice but to hold a press conference to apologize to Yin Shirshir in order to minimize the damage to her reputation and popularity. She thought that Huanyu would compromise with her. Little did she expect that she would be checkmated by Huanyu instead when she came with such high expectations. Ji Yin was at a loss for a moment, but it wasn't as if she hadn't expected this. So what if Yin Shirshir didn't admit it? The public, including fans and the media, had long been convinced that Yin Shirshir was the third party. Coupled with Huanyu's cold treatment some time ago, the public had always interpreted it as a guilty conscience. So what if Yin Shirshir didn't admit it or apologize? The public was already gnashing their teeth in hatred of her image as a third party. Her image as a third party could no longer be erased. Ji Yin made up the story bitterly while trying to maintain a calm appearance. At the same time, she immediately pretended to be extremely aggrieved in front of the camera and swallowed her anger like an innocent victim. Ji Lin continued, "Tonight, Huanyu and Ms. Yin Shirshir will make a full clarification of this incident at the press conference and sincerely apologize to the public and fans for the negative impact this personal matter has brought to the public." The media reporters looked at each other and were constantly bombarded with questions. The reporters sitting in the front row couldn't hold back their surprise and scrambled to ask questions. The scene suddenly became noisy. As media reporters, they had participated in many celebrity press conferences. Previously, many celebrities had been involved in scandals and held press conferences to clarify the facts. But what was the truth? The truth was not important to the media. They didn't care about the truth at all. What they cared about most was which topic was the most explosive, which could attract the public the most and drive traffic to the media portal. Ji Lin immediately took charge of the situation solemnly. "Everyone, please keep quiet, okay? We're about to start the Q&A session. Please follow the order of the venue." and raise your hand to ask. Immediately, a reporter raised his hand. Okay, let's invite the reporter from Phoenix Media to ask a question. The reporter from Phoenix Media sprang to his feet, pointed the microphone at Ji Yin, and got straight to the point. Miss Ji Yin, do you agree with what Huan Yu has said about Miss Yin Shirshir? As soon as his voice fell, Ji Yin pursed her lips as a teardrop fell from her eye and slid down her cheek. She suddenly covered her mouth and choked on her sobs for a while. Only after she had adjusted her emotions did she finally pick up the microphone and speak to the reporter with reddened eyes. Hello, reporter friend. What I want to say is that people can be ignorant, but they must never be shameless. The reason I attended the press conference was because I thought Huan Yu would apologize for the negative behavior of their artists. I never expected that they would be so shameless as to destroy their conscience in order to protect their artists. If they say that these are all false rumors, then aren't they accusing me of spreading rumors? I originally thought that if Yun Shirshir sincerely apologized to me and asked for my forgiveness, I would be willing to forgive her generously. But if she insists on accusing me of spreading rumors, I will never forgive her. Chapter 2646. Mu Shi, who was standing in a corner of the venue, was so furious that her lungs were about to explode when she heard this. This Ji Yin is really shameless. I can't wait to rush up on stage and give her a good beating to vent my anger. Qinzhou couldn't help but furrow his brows. How could Ji Yan's acting skills be so superb? She portrayed a victim who was hurt by a third party in such a vivid and lifelike manner. If he didn't know the details of this matter, he would have been deceived by her weak and aggrieved image. Sure enough, when the crowd saw Ji Yin crying and wiping the corners of her eyes aggrievedly, they raised their cameras to capture the scene. Ji Lin's face remained calm as he said, "Let's move on to the next reporter's question. Let's welcome the reporter from Global Times. Miss Yin Shirshir, since Huan Yu accused Ji Yin of being a third party, what is the truth of this matter? Can you explain it to the public personally?" Yin Shirshir nodded and picked up the microphone. Okay, please explain. I met Gao Nin a few months ago. At that time, he was in a stable relationship with one of my best friends. At that time, the two hadn't been dating for long, but during the dinner, I could see that he was overly concerned about me. It was unusual, so I didn't have a good impression of him. The next time we met was at a class reunion. I saw that he was very protective of my best friend, so I thought that he was serious about dating her. However, a few days ago, Jian invited the whole production team to her birthday party. At the bar, she introduced her boyfriend of 2 months to the crew, and I didn't expect him to be Gao Nan. I specifically asked my friend about it, and she replied that the two were still dating. Thus, I became convinced that Gao Nan had cheated on Ji Yin and was very angry. The reporters present were all stunned. Everyone was dumbfounded. No one had expected that Ji Yin, who had accused Yin Shirshir of being a third party, would be accused of being a third party by Yin Shirshir instead. Ji Yan's face turned deathly pale as well. Yin Shirshir calmly explained, "At that time, my assistant drank too much and felt unwell, so I sent her to the washroom. Afterward, Gao Nan followed me and said some vulgar words to me. He even started to get physical with me. Hua Jin, who was also in the same production team, ran over out of worry. When he saw this scene, he got into a fight with him, and the party ended on a sour note. After that, I told my friend everything. She chose to break up with me and ended the relationship. Little did I expect that when I returned to the set, Ji Yin would openly spread false rumors about me and Gao Nan. I don't know what she's up to. How dare she spread rumors about me, seducing Gao Nan for the sake of a female lead role. What's more, I don't know where Gao Nan's conscience lies to go along with her lie to damage my reputation. Recently, the rumors about me on the internet have become more and more rampant, causing a great impact on me and my agency. I choose to stand up and protect my rights. When necessary, I will take up the weapon of law to defend my dignity." She skipped the part about Gao Nan threatening her to be his mistress. This was because even she felt that it was a great humiliation to her. Impossible. You're lying. Chapter 2647. Yin Shirshir sneered and retorted sarcastically. Who's the one making this up? What kind of person is Gao Nan? And what kind of reputation does he have in the entertainment industry? There's something wrong with his style, and everyone can see that you're the real third party. I'm not. Don't you dare slander me. Tears streamed down Ji-Yan's cheeks as she yelled in exasperation. A reporter asked directly, Yin Sure, do you know that Gao Nan's mother is a senior executive in Qingguang Entertainment? I don't know. How can you not know? The reporter asked sharply. Gao Nan has a prominent identity as the successor of the Gao Group. His mother is a senior executive in Qingguang Entertainment, and he has a wide range of connections and golden resources in the entertainment industry. Don't tell me that you covet this, and that's why you want to get close to him? Yin Sure calmly replied, No, I don't. I don't have any thoughts about him. There's never a groundless rumor in the entertainment industry. Many things can't be concluded based on groundless accusations, though, can't you? Yin Sure said, enunciating each word carefully. Even if a criminal is tried in court, the testimony of a few people isn't enough to convict him of a crime. There's also the suspicion of perjury, and the testimony of the witnesses must be carefully considered. In addition, more evidence must be presented before a verdict can be made. The seriousness of the law is to protect the legitimate rights and interests of individuals. Similarly, can Ji Yin and Gao Nan convict me of my crime based on their statements alone? Won't this be unfair to me? I don't like to quibble, and I'll admit what I've done and apologize if I've done something wrong. However, I won't admit to something I didn't do, let alone apologize. Just based on the words of these two people, they were able to influence public opinion and cause damage to my reputation. Is this what real fairness is? If I'm a third party, and this is what the media wants to see in order to increase traffic and topics, I can't refute it. As for the rest, I'll entrust a law firm to recover my rights and interests for me. Then, all the relevant entities who spread the rumors will have to pay a serious price. The scene quieted down at once. For a moment, no one knew who to believe. One made a solemn vow, and every word was clear and logical. The other was once exposed as a betrayal and suicide by cutting her wrist. This was all confirmed by the hospital. Even if she wanted to create hype, there was no need to be so ruthless, right? The reporters had interviewed the hospital staff, and the insider said that Ji-Yin had indeed been sent to the emergency room due to excessive blood loss after she committed suicide by cutting her wrist. All the evidence was conclusive. If she hadn't been sent to the hospital in time, her life would have been in the hospital. Who would joke would take their life? If he was careless and lost his life, wouldn't that be a great loss? All the reporters then turned their attention to her. May I ask if this was the reason why you slit your wrist and committed suicide? That's right. That's because I'm too deeply in love with Gao Nan. Knowing that the man I love betrayed me is like a bolt from the blue. My mind was muddled, and I did something stupid. Do you agree with what Yin Sure said earlier? She is lying. What if you're sure that she's lying? Her words are just to protect her own reputation. Yin. Chapter 2648. You're Huanyu's artistic director and her superior. Of course, you'll side with her. Ji Yin continued agitatedly. But that's the truth. Yin Sure seduced Gao Nan in order to get more resources. That's the undeniable truth. She's been playing the female lead since her debut, and she's always had good resources. Where did she get all these resources? She knows it all too well. Ji Lin retorted domineeringly. The artists under Huanyu never lack resources. Yin Sure is an artist that Huanyu has focused on, so she doesn't lack resources either. So, you're saying that Ji Yan's accusation that you seduced Gao Nan is also groundless? I didn't do that. I implore all the reporters to stop spreading false information and stick to reporting the truth. All the reporters fell silent at once. The scene turned strange. Ji Yin could not help but panic when she saw the tables had turned. She was not afraid of Yin Sure's legal claims at all. Facing her in court was just a civil lawsuit. However, if the situation were to turn around, then everything she had done would be for naught. Are you still going to quibble at this point? Ji Yin suddenly stood up agitatedly and glared at her. If you want to threaten me with a court battle, then let me tell you that it's not a threat at all. You can sue me for slander. I'm not afraid at all. You're the third party who interfered in my relationship with Gao Nan. You're the third party, Ji Yin. Yin Sure said calmly. Ji Yin sneered. What evidence do you have to say that I'm the third party? Or do you have someone to prove it for you? It's me. Someone suddenly walked into the venue. Yun Shishir focused her gaze and saw that it was Xiao Shui. She quickly walked to the front of the stage and exchanged glances with Yun Shishir. The latter looked at her in surprise, obviously surprised by her sudden appearance. Xiao Shui looked at Yun Shishir. She had specially come to the venue and was prepared for this. She did not know how much courage she had mustered before she decided to reveal her scar relationship to the media as evidence. Yun Shishir was stunned. Why are you here? If Gao Nan's words can be used as evidence, then I have evidence as well. Ignoring Yun Shishir's surprised gaze, Xiao Shui gritted her teeth and turned around to face the media. She sneered. My name is Xiao Shui. I'm Shishir's classmate and close friend. Gao Nan is my boyfriend. No, to be precise, I officially broke up with him after I found out about his bad behavior, so he can only be considered as my ex-boyfriend. Xiao Shui. Yun Shishir tugged at her sleeve. She's not, Xiao Shui. Yun Shishir, she gritted her teeth. Yun Shishir said, I'm not too Shishir. In the process of dating, I was immersed in the joy of love, but I didn't know that he was dating another woman behind my back. Course, eyes her, to date, to me. Twos to the break, Shishir's a. Jian sneered. Your words alone are not enough to prove it. That's right. What about you and Gao Nan? What evidence do you have to accuse Shishir of being the third party? Xiao Shui retorted. The two women stared at each other fiercely. Chapter 26:49. Jian, I don't know how you got together with him. I don't know if you started dating him after finding out that he has a girlfriend, or if he kept it a secret and cheated on you. What I do know, though, is that Shishir would never betray me. You may know a person for a long time without understanding their true nature. She may look innocent and harmless on the surface, but who knows what kind of person she really is? Isn't this saying more appropriate for you? What you said doesn't make sense at all. How can it not make sense? Xiao Shui became agitated. Shishir is about to get married. How could she do such a thing? As soon as she finished speaking, the audience fell into a dead silence. Everyone was dumbfounded. Xiao Shui's words had revealed a piece of shocking news. Yun Shishir is getting married? This is earth-shattering news. Everyone became excited, as if they had been injected with chicken blood. At this moment, no one was paying attention to the melodramatic love triangle between Jian, Gao Nan, and Yun Shishir. Instead, they were more concerned about Yun Shishir's complicated relationship. Xiao Shui suddenly realized that she had let it slip in her haste. She widened her eyes in shock, furrowed her brows, and bit her lower lip in remorse. Behind her, Qin Zhou was also a little surprised and glanced at her. This Xiao Shui seemed a little too rash. How could she say such a thing so casually? Xiao Shui immediately turned to look at Yun Shishir with a guilty expression. Her eyes were full of helplessness. She wanted to say that she was here to prove her innocence and not to cause trouble. However, it seemed that her good intentions had now backfired. What should she do? Was it too late for her to change her mind? However, if she were to retract her words in front of so many people, it would only put Shishir in a more passive situation. Shishir, I'm sorry. Xiao Shui stammered, feeling wronged. I didn't mean it. I really didn't mean to cause trouble for you. I was too anxious. It's okay. The audience suddenly became restless. It was too shocking. The hottest and most popular starlet actually got married in secret. Secretly married? She was only 24 years old. Getting married at such a young age was simply an anomaly in the entertainment industry. In the industry of actors, they had to make a living out of their youth. Youth is very short. For the sake of their career, many female artists are more resistant to marriage. They all want to use their precious time to climb up. Unless she really met a benefactor, married into a rich family, became a rich madam, and retired from the entertainment industry. That was a different story. However, actresses who married into wealthy families rarely took acting as their livelihood. Unless he was bullied at home and ran out to take on scripts to earn money and make his presence known. Yun Shishir, on the other hand, had a bright future ahead of her as soon as she debuted. She would definitely shine brightly in the future. She might even be able to replace Han Yuyan. Everyone had high hopes for her. Now, it was revealed that they were married? Unbelievable. Yin Sure, are you really married? Why hasn't the marriage been announced yet? Yin Sure, can you reveal who your marriage partner is? Yin Sure sighed and suddenly stood up. She walked to the front of the stage and faced all the reporters with a smile. The corners of her lips curved up calmly, revealing a faint gentleness. Chapter 2650. Yin Sure suddenly raised her hand. The diamond ring on her ring finger shone brightly under the spotlight. She smiled gently, her eyes radiating happiness. Yes, she's right. I'm already married. As soon as she said that, the audience burst into an uproar. Yin Sure continued. Although we haven't had the time to hold a wedding ceremony, I've already gotten married in secret. I have a husband who loves me dearly, and I love my family. Because of this, I can't betray my true love and get involved in other people's relationships. I've never announced this to the public because I think I'm just an actress. As long as I show my good work to the public, it's enough. There's no need to expose my private life in front of the camera. Some time ago, you participated in the dating reality show, The Love Diary, and filmed the show as an imaginary couple with Gu Xingze. How do you explain this? Since you said it yourself, there's no such thing as an imaginary couple. Since you're already married, how do you explain the rumors about you and Gu Xingze some time ago? Yin Sure suddenly felt conflicted. In front of so many senior executives of Huanyu, could she expose them and say that these were all part of the company's packaging and hype? Could it be said that the company had tied her and Gu Xingze together and promoted them as the lucky couple in order to promote her? Could she say that these were all deliberately directed by the production team in the show? Behind him, Ji Yin did not expect things to turn out this way. She was stunned for a moment before she began to tremble in anger. She did not expect that she would not shed tears until she saw the coffin. She thought that Yin Sure would not dare to announce her marriage. That was because Ji Yin had investigated her background and secretly taken photos of her, so she had some inside information about her past. Since she took the initiative to expose her marriage, she must have a backup plan. Thinking of this, Ji Yan's face turned pale for a moment. Then, she suddenly calmed down and a cold smile appeared on her lips. Previously, when she was still Yin Bingxing, she accidentally learned that she had a pair of twins and had a close relationship with Mu Yaja. At that time, they were not married yet. In that case, the origin of this pair of children was enough to give people food for thought. Therefore, she secretly investigated her. The result of her investigation was that Yun Sure became a surrogate mother for the Mu family when she was 18 and gave birth to 2 sons for them. The younger brother was too weak at birth and stopped breathing for a time. Later, by chance, she kept him by her side and named him Yun Tianyu. It could be said that this was the most embarrassing part of her history. She actually dared to announce her marriage so calmly. Her gaze suddenly shifted to a certain spot in the venue, and she silently gave a secret signal. Before she rushed to the venue, she had bribed a reporter to leak information and photos of Yin Sure's unbearable pastime. This was her final gamble. Chapter 2651. Whoa! The crowd burst into an uproar. The corners of Ji Yan's lips curled into a playful smile, as if she was gloating over her misfortune. Ji Lin was stunned. Qin Zhou and Xiao Shui were also taken aback. The row of Huanyu's senior executives sitting behind them was even more shocked. They didn't know that Yun Sure was already pregnant. So where did these reporters get the news from? Yun Sure's face turned as white as a sheet of chalk. Her complexion turned completely bleak. She didn't expect such a sharp question through the microphone, so she asked in a daze, "What did you say? You haven't held a formal wedding yet. According to the information I have, you only officially registered your marriage last year. However, your sons are already 7 years old. This means that when you gave birth to the twins, you were 18 years old. At that time, you should still be in university, right? What's the reason for your unmarried pregnancy while you were still in school? Can you explain it to me?" Yin Sure's body swayed for a while, and she couldn't help but take a step back as her mind went blank. All of a sudden, countless dazzling memories rushed into her mind, but they were all sucked away by a strong suction force. Her vision turned black, and she felt as if the world was spinning. Don't ask. Don't ask. She suddenly recalled that after giving birth, she had returned to the campus and walked into the class. Her classmates had looked at her strangely, whispering and discussing in private. Those harsh words echoed in her ears again. How can she still have the face to go back to school? During the summer vacation, I saw her get into a Bentley with a big belly. She even had someone supporting her like a noble young mistress. Was it an accident? Oomph. Wasn't there a rumor that she was a mistress of a rich man? She accidentally got pregnant. She probably signed some kind of agreement for money, then dropped out of school and secretly gave birth to the children. After all, her family owes so much debt. She's a pitiful person. What's so pitiful about that? What's the difference between her and a prostitute? Being a mistress at such a young age, being someone's secret mistress, isn't it obvious that she's selling her body? I thought those rumors were just hearsay. I didn't expect them to be true. Some people look clean and pure on the surface, but who knows what kind of dirty faces they're hiding. If there are no special circumstances in the school, students are not allowed to take a leave of absence. She's not sick. If she accidentally got pregnant and the school found out, she would be expelled. I heard that she was able to complete the suspension procedures and return to school because of her connections. Despicable. No, she was not a slut. She was really at her wit's end. She didn't want to use her body as a surrogate for the Mu family. She only chose this path because she was in dire straits. During that period of time, the debt collection company kept pressuring the family, eyeing them covetously and using all kinds of methods to force her father to repay the debt. She couldn't bear it, and only did that when she was at her wit's end. She was not a cheap person. I'm not. Yin Shirshir's face was extremely pale. She looked up, her lips trembling uncontrollably, and her eyes reddened. Chapter 2652. Shirshir, are you all right? Qin Zhou immediately walked up to her and held her arm. His heart ached when he saw her helpless expression. He did not know much about her past. However, after interacting with her for so long, he deeply believed in her character. Even if she was pregnant before marriage, she probably had some unspeakable reasons, right? Everyone was caught off guard by this sudden sentence, and the scene went completely out of control. Everyone buzzed in discussion. What? Yin Shirshir is pregnant before marriage? She already has 2 children? How is that possible? She doesn't look like it. That's right. Usually, women who have given birth will look more haggard than women of the same age. However, her image in front of the screen has always been pure and charming, just like a young girl. She doesn't look like someone who has given birth before. She probably took good care of herself. I guess so. When the reporter saw that she did not answer, he continued to press on. Miss Yin Shirshir, is this question difficult to answer? Then let me investigate further. The reason why you were pregnant before marriage was because there was something else, right? You signed a $1 million agreement with the Mu Corporation and agreed to give birth to a child for the Mu Corporation through artificial insemination. At that time, it was widely rumored that the fiancé of the Mu Corporation's crown prince, Muyaja, was infertile. The Mu family was eager to have a child, so they chose you to be the surrogate mother of the Mu family. May I ask, is this all true? Jilin immediately stood up and said coldly, this topic has nothing to do with the theme of tonight's press conference, right? The most important thing for an artist is to have a good public image. I believe that many of the audience are very concerned about the character of their favorite artist. If their beloved idol is a completely different person in private, it will definitely disappoint the majority of fans, right? The reporter paused for a moment before continuing. However, there may be some unspeakable reasons behind your decision to be a surrogate for the Mu family. But when you gave birth to a pair of twins for the Mu family, you secretly took one of the children for yourself. There are also rumors that you did this in hopes of secretly raising the child so that you can climb up the social ladder of the Mu family in the future and climb up the social ladder. You completely disregarded the fact that Muyaja has a legitimate fiancé. Does such a move count as a third party interfering in the relationship? No. Yin Shirshir immediately refuted. I'm not a third party. What a dignified response. The reporter sneered and pressed on. But what about the truth? You did take the place of Mu Yaja's fiancé, Mu Wanru. You secretly had an affair with the CEO of the Mu Group and successfully became Mu Yaja's wife. However, the Mu family doesn't approve of your status. Enough! Yun Shirshir gritted her teeth and stopped the reporter with tears in her eyes. The reporter who asked this question was aggressive. He was bent on destroying her. Yun Shirshir suddenly realized something and turned her head to look at Ji Yin. She saw that Ji Yin was also looking at her. The corners of her lips were curled up a little coldly, but there was a smug look in her eyes. It's her. Could this reporter have been sent by her and hidden in the crowd? Yun Shirshir gritted her teeth in hatred. Ji Yin, it's her? Chapter 2653. Miss Yun Shirshir, please don't evade my question, okay? The reporter was still pressing on, not giving her any way out. Please answer my question directly. Yun Shirshir lowered her head and kept quiet for a long time. Suddenly, a cold smile formed on her face, and she looked up expressionlessly. Her face was no longer as helpless as before. Instead, it was calm and fearless. What other question do I need to answer? Haven't you already answered this question very well? Yun Shirshir said coldly. I did get pregnant out of wedlock. When I was 18, I did give birth to a pair of sons for the Muse. If this is the answer you want, then I can answer you seriously and directly as you said. A glint flashed across the reporter's eyes. So you admit it? Yes. However, I don't have any filthy thoughts of a mother's status because of her son. Yin Shirshir wanted to explain that she had kept Yu by her side back then due to a freak combination of factors. When Yu was born, he stopped breathing. The Muse only sent people to take Muichin away. They mistakenly thought that Yu had lost his vital signs, so they left him in the cold delivery room. Later, the nurse accidentally discovered that he was still breathing and immediately carried him to the emergency room. Only then did he survive. However, the reporter below did not give her any room to explain. As soon as she said that, the whole venue was in chaos. They only took it as Yin Shirshir admitting to all the questions raised by the reporter, so they took it for granted that she had indeed intervened in the relationship between Mu Yaja and Mu Wanru. Yin Shirshir, does this mean that you have indeed intervened in the relationship between Mu Yaja and Mu Wanru? Are you a third party? Yin Shirshir, since you have a history of being a third party, are you also a third party with Gao Nan and Ji Yin this time? Yin Shirshir, please answer my question directly. Don't you feel guilty for doing this? Yin Shirshir, it's shameful to be a third party. How do you think you'll explain this to your fans? All the sharp and ear-piercing questions swept towards her like a violent storm. All the reporters rushed to the front of the stage, looking like they were going to skin her alive. Seeing that the situation was out of control, Qin Zhou immediately walked up and held Yun Shirshir's shoulders. He lowered his voice and whispered in her ear, "The situation is out of control. We can't stay here any longer. Let's go." Qin Zhou, what's the matter? Let's talk later. As he spoke, Qin Zhou hugged her without any explanation. His expression was hurried as he tried to break through the encirclement and wait for her to leave the scene. However, how could the reporters of the scene be willing to give up? Seeing that she was about to leave, they immediately swarmed over and surrounded her. Countless microphones with logos were put in front of her face, while countless reporters pulled her sleeves and even her arms. Yin Shirshir felt someone pulling her hair and reached out to push the reporter away. Angered by the shove, the reporter shouted, "Yin Shirshir, don't get physical with him. Show some respect." As soon as his words spread, everyone misunderstood him, thinking that Yun Shirshir had hit someone. They immediately shouted angrily, "She's hitting someone! Yun Shirshir has hit someone!" Chapter 2654. I didn't hit anyone, Yun Shirshir retorted angrily. However, her words were buried in the crowd. Hit someone. Were these unscrupulous reporters eager to accuse her of a groundless crime again? Her ears were filled with irritable voices as the reporters squeezed her savagely. Seeing that she was about to leave the venue, some of them even acted as human shields and guarded the door tightly, not allowing her to leave. Yun Shirshir was being squeezed here and there, and her face was instantly filled with anger. She looked up and looked at the ferocious and distorted faces around her, but her heart gradually turned cold. Yin Sure, don't you intend to give a satisfactory explanation? It's wrong to get involved in other people's relationships. Yin Sure was so annoyed that she covered her ears with her hands and trembled with anger. She finally broke down and shouted loudly, "I didn't hurt anyone." A shrill scream pierced through the air above the venue. She screamed at the top of her lungs, "I didn't hurt anyone. So, I beg you, don't hurt me. Don't slander me. Don't slander me. Don't destroy me." She had used up all her strength to say "don't" 4 times in a row. However, even so, it didn't stop the excessive enthusiasm of the reporters. Yin Sure, Yin Sure. It was as if countless people were calling her name. She suddenly felt as if there were countless flies buzzing around her ears. It was irritating. Enough! She screamed hysterically. However, at the same time, the door of the venue was broken open by a barbaric force. The reporters guarding the door were caught off guard and were thrown to the ground by the sudden force. The door of the venue was flung open. A childish voice said angrily, "Whoever dares to touch a hair on my mommy, I'll definitely teach them a lesson." It was a childish voice, and one could tell that it was a very young child. However, the beautiful voice contained such an astonishing aura that it caused the entire venue to quiet down. Someone seemed to have pressed the mute button. The air froze in an instant. Everyone couldn't help but look at the door. When Yin Sure heard this familiar voice, she looked at the door in shock. However, when she saw Mui Chen's figure at the door, her eyes instantly widened. Immediately after, all the reporters present were dumbfounded, especially when they saw a tall figure strolling toward them. When Mu Yaja appeared at the entrance of the venue, the resplendent hall seemed to lose its splendor in an instant. Everyone forgot to quarrel. It was as if time had stopped at this moment. The man's handsome face appeared in front of everyone's eyes. He was tall and handsome like a god descending from the heavens. He was holding the hand of a little boy in a suit. His black hair was soft and his eyes were clear. Little Munchkin's gaze swept across the crowd and finally landed on Yin Sure. Instantly, his gaze became as gentle as the spring breeze. The man's eyes, from the moment he appeared, had never left her body. He looked at her quietly. That expression made it seem as if everything else in the world had lost its color, and she was the only one who had color. "It's Muyaja. How could it be him? Why did he suddenly appear? This man is Muyaja? Is he really the rumored crown prince of the Mu group?" Chapter 2655. That's right. You should know that he has never given any exclusive interviews. Only those who are good at finance would have such an opportunity. "Mommy." A loud greeting attracted everyone's attention. "Mommy?" This child is called Yin Sure's mommy. Ah, look, these 2 children look exactly the same. They're twins. I recognize this child. Isn't he the young master of Mu Corporation, Mui Chen? He's Muyaja's son. Didn't Muyaja leave Mu Corporation? There was a wave of whispers. Yin Sure looked at Yu, then at Mui Chen. Finally, her confused gaze fell on Muyaja. She understood everything in an instant. No wonder Qin Zhou looked at her so meaningfully when he was talking about the details of the press conference. He said, Sure, don't worry. You only need to be in charge of the first half. Someone will take care of the second half for you." Sure, you're not alone. So it was him. Was he the one who prepared for this press conference? Did he want to personally clarify those rumors and slanders? Yin Sure's eyes reddened. Yu ignored the discussions of the reporters. He broke through the crowd and ran toward Yin Sure. He stood in front of her and looked up at her. His warm face was full of heartache and guilt. "Mommy, we're late. We've made you suffer." Yin Sure's eyes reddened. She felt wronged, but she held it in. She squatted down and hugged Yu tightly in her arms. She could not hold back her hot tears. They fell on his shoulders and collar. Hot tears rolled down his face. Finally, at this moment, she could hold him in her arms in front of the whole world. She had really waited for this moment for too long. Yu, mommy. Yu's voice choked up at once. He had been waiting for this moment for a long time. He could finally hug his beloved mommy in front of so many people in front of so many cameras and in front of the entire nation's audience. Mui Chen also broke through the crowd and ran to her side. He hugged Yin Shirshir and Yu tightly. Muyaja's eyes flickered slightly. Suddenly, his lips curled slightly as he slowly walked towards her. He rarely appeared in front of the camera, especially in public places like this. This was the first time in his life that he was doing a live broadcast to a national audience. However, it felt surprisingly good. The man's footsteps exuded a terrifying aura. Noble, arrogant, and not to be blasphemed, as if a god had descended. The reporters immediately timidly opened up a path, and no one dared to block him. Some of the bolder reporters carefully held their microphones and followed beside him. Their lips trembled for a long time, but in the end, they did not dare to say a word. They did not dare to. They did not have the courage to do so. Muyaja ignored all the strange and surprised looks. He slowly walked up to her and squatted down gently. He opened his palm to her and looked at her with a gentle gaze. "I'm sorry, madam. I'm late." "Madam." Everyone sucked in a breath of cold air. This noble and extraordinary man actually called her madam. This was a direct acknowledgement of her status. Chapter 2656. Xiao Shui covered her mouth in excitement. She was so touched that she was at a loss for words. Ji Yin, who was standing behind him, did not expect him to appear so suddenly. She was also stunned. Yin Shirshir was stunned for a long time. It was not until Yu and Mui Chen urged her in a low voice that she reached out her hand to him in a daze. Her hand was not even half the size of his palm. He took her hand and helped her up. Before Yin Shirshir could stand firm or even react, Muyaja pulled her into his arms, put his other hand around the back of her neck, and kissed her without any warning. It was a kiss of a century. Yin Shirshir's eyes widened, and her whole world went blank. Muyaja continued to kiss her with his eyes closed. Suddenly, he slowly opened his eyes and released her lips. Holding her in his arms, he turned around to face the crowd. Sweeping his gaze across the dumbfounded faces, he announced in a steady and powerful voice, "She's my wife and my wife. So, I will never allow anyone to violate her." His domineering declaration attracted countless flashing spotlights, and they could not wait to capture this amazing scene. Click, click, click. Some reporters could not react in time. They were so stunned that they even forgot to record the scene. She raised her head to look at him in astonishment and bewilderment. Amidst her startled gaze, he nodded at her and reached out his hand to tidy up her messy fringe due to the crowding. When countless microphones came around, he gently said, "I've been wanting to do this for a long time, to announce our relationship and marriage. Have you forgotten? I once promised you that I'll let everyone bear witness to my vow to you." Yin Shirshir's body stiffened in an instant. Chill. I'll arrange everything properly." Muyaja's eyes curved slightly. "Leave it to me, okay?" Yin Shirshir stopped trying to be brave. She pursed her lips and nodded. Muyaja held her hand and walked towards the stage again. The moment Huan Yu's higher-ups saw Muyaja arrive in person, they instantly became restless. They hurriedly wanted to give up their seats, appearing uneasy and flustered. Ji Lin looked at him with a complicated expression as he walked over with Yin Shirshir in his arms. He gave Qin Zhou a strange look. "Is this also in the script of the press conference?" Qin Zhou smiled. "Of course. You know about this?" This press conference was arranged by Chairman Mu. Qin Zhou shrugged innocently. "He doesn't want me to be too ostentatious." "Isn't his appearance ostentatious enough?" The corner of Ji Lin's eyes twitched. "Then what exactly is considered ostentatious?" Old Ji, you don't understand. Surprise. Don't you know what surprise is? No wonder you can't find a girlfriend. You're so inflexible that you can't find a wife," Qin Zhou said logically. Ji Lin resisted the urge to slap him and snorted coldly, but there was a gratified look in his eyes. "This is good." Ji Yin watched as Muyaja walked to the front of the stage, holding Yin Shirshir's hand, and sat down in the main seat. Qin Zhou obediently gave up his seat. Chapter 2657. Bad Woman. B***tch. After that, under Ji Yan's gnashing teeth, The two little lads snuggled up to Yun Shirshir and no longer looked at her. Her face turned pale at once. I've been planning this press conference for a long time. Muyaja looked up and said this intriguing sentence. In fact, I've been looking forward to this day to announce our relationship, but she has repeatedly objected to it. I'm also very annoyed. My wife believes that she's an actress, and since she's an actress, the most important thing is to present excellent works to the audience. I've seen her efforts. She's a very talented actress and has sacrificed a lot for acting. Sometimes, because of work, I spend less time with her, so I'm quite opposed to her career. However, as a husband, I should support my wife's work. However, some time ago, I heard some bad rumors about my wife. Jian's face turned ghastly pale. Muyaja raised an eyebrow in a playful, contemptuous, and mocking manner. His eyes suddenly flashed with a cold sharpness. Rumor has it that my wife is a third party who intervened in the relationship between Ms. Ji Yin and Mr. Gao Nan. For the resources of a female lead, she openly seduced Mr. Gao Nan and achieved her goal. Pausing for a moment, he seemed to find it laughable as he scanned the scene with an insufferably arrogant gaze. His handsome face revealed his displeasure. Mr. Gao? Yes. Does he deserve it? Mr. Gao Nan? Does he deserve it? There was almost no excessive language. Although it was just a few words, they were hopelessly arrogant. However, no one had any doubts, because he was qualified to say such arrogant words. He was the successor of the Mu Group. Although he had left the company, he was still famous and had single-handedly created the legend of Shengyu Financial Group. Such a man was so dazzling. Compared to him, a good-for-nothing second generation like Gao Nan was simply the biggest joke in the world. Besides, who was Muyaja? He was the behind-the-scenes boss of Huanyu. That was true in the past, and it is true now. Many people couldn't help but think about it. When he was in the Mu Group, he held the largest share of Huanyu. However, after leaving the Mu Group, he also lost all of Huanyu's shares. However, some time ago, there were rumors that he had purchased Huanyu at a high price and returned to his position as the head of the entertainment empire. Could it be, because his wife was an artist under Huanyu, he bought Huanyu with a large sum of money? Did he just casually buy an entertainment group and then spend money to support his wife? Oh my God, so romantic. To be able to marry such an influential person, it really made people jealous. In this way, Ji Yan's accusations became a joke again. Yun Shirshir seduced Gao Nan for resources? God, her husband was the boss of Huanyu and had countless resources. Why did she have to suck up to other men? Did he lose his mind? The media should report the news as it is. Don't you think it's ridiculous that some ridiculous rumors are still spreading on the internet? Muyaja turned to look at his wife again, his eyes full of love. The audience watching the live stream was caught off guard and fed a mouthful of dog food. Oh my God. Chapter 2658. Yun Shirshir is Muyaja's wife? No one expected the situation to be reversed like this. Oh my God. This is amazing. This Yun Shirshir is so good at hiding her true colors. Everyone could not figure it out. Since she's married to such a powerful man, what's the point of acting? It's tiring, bitter, and thankless work. How happy would it be to just stay at home and take care of her husband and children? The camera then turned to Ji Yan. On the screen, she was drenched in cold sweat, her fists clenched tightly, and her shoulders trembled uncontrollably. No one knew whether it was out of anger, fear, uneasiness, or apprehension. Her face was as pale as a sheet of wax, which made her look ridiculous. In just a few minutes, she had been reduced from a righteous image to a clown's laughingstock. All the accusations were self-destructed. Any sensible person would be able to tell who was the one who was lying, who was the one 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 who was creating rumors out of nothing. Seeing that the situation had gone out of control, the aggressive reporter from earlier gnashed his teeth in anger. He suddenly stood up and asked calmly, "Mr. Mu, could you please explain the truth about Miss Yun Shirshir being a surrogate for the Mu family 7 years ago? How would you explain this matter?" Muyaja smiled and said calmly, "This matter is not what the public has speculated. Shirshir and I were originally engaged. It was just an accident, a freak combination of factors that led to a blunder. Fortunately, God allowed us to meet again, and I believe that she is my destined lover. Destined lover. She did indeed have 2 children as a surrogate for the Mu family. At that time, I learned that her adoptive father owed a huge debt due to the failure of his business. The family was desperate, and she had no choice but to make such a choice to relieve the pressure on her family. I don't think it's shameful at all. Everyone was enlightened. So that's what happened. It turned out that she had chosen to be a surrogate in order to pay off her adoptive father's debt. Indeed, it was not a shameful thing at all. This kind-hearted girl must have been willing to rent her body to repay her adoptive father for bringing her up. She used the surrogate pregnancy to get a handsome reward to solve the family's financial difficulties. She was a kind-hearted and filial girl. The reporter gritted his teeth and threw out an even sharper question. Then, if that's the case, how do you explain why she hid one of the children by her side? Chapter 26:59. The reporters below the stage were suddenly enlightened. So that's how it was. Among the reporters present, there were quite a number of married ladies with children. They were quite emotional and couldn't help but sympathize with Yun Shirshir's past circumstances. Thinking about it carefully, if the same thing had happened to them, they might not have had such a spirit of dedication. It was indeed a shameful thing to do a surrogacy deal for the sake of her adoptive father's upbringing. But Yun Shirshir had done it without hesitation in order to repay his kindness. If it had been them, who would be willing? Moreover, after giving birth to a child, which mother would really be willing to hand over the child to someone else? That was her own flesh and blood. Blood was thicker than water, so it was only natural for her to have such selfish motives. Yun Shirshir put down the microphone. In one breath, she revealed the bloody past that she couldn't bear to recall in front of the public. Instead, she felt relieved. Some things were buried in the bottom of her heart, and that was a good thing. After saying it out loud, she felt as if a heavy burden had been lifted off her shoulders. Muyaja held her hand tightly. His gaze was gentle as he said, "I'm really grateful to God for letting us meet again." Yun Shirshir also turned to look at him. The two of them looked at each other affectionately and smiled tacitly. Everyone was amazed and envious. Their gazes were very warm and tacit, especially in Muyaja's eyes. He couldn't hide the love that was about to burst out of his eyes. This was something that couldn't be expressed no matter how good his acting skills were. It was obvious how much he loved her. Yun Shirshir was so blessed. All of this could be considered as the end of the suffering and the beginning of the good times. "Mr. Mu, can you introduce the 2 children beside you?" Immediately, a reporter asked a question. Muyaja nodded cheerfully and said, "Of course." As he spoke, he pulled Yu into his arms and handed the microphone to him. Yu held the microphone and suddenly looked a little uneasy. It was the first time in his life that he was facing so many reporters. It would be a lie to say that he wasn't nervous. He muttered, what should I say?" The reporters below the stage laughed at the child's naivety and amusement. On the other hand, Muichin consciously crawled to the seat next to Yun Shirshir. It was the first time that the little guy had sat in front of so many people. He looked at the long stage with some curiosity, as well as the flashing spotlights under the stage. He looked a little confused, but his face was full of smiles, and he looked very excited. He hugged the microphone and greeted with a smile. "Good evening, uncles and aunties. My name is Muichin. I'm 7 years old this year." Another burst of laughter came from below the stage. Yu answered bashfully, "My name is Yun Tianyu. Mommy gave me this name. Mommy said, when I was born, my body was very weak and I was only saved by emergency treatment. The heavens took pity on me and protected me. So, out of gratitude, they named me Yun Tianyu. However, my nickname is Yu, so uncles and aunties can call me Yu. Muichin was born 15 minutes earlier than me, so he's my brother." His surname is Yun? The audience was in a flurry of discussion. A reporter asked curiously, "Yu, little friend, do you have any intention of changing your surname? Do you want to share the same surname as your brother?" Chapter 2660. Aren't you afraid that Daddy will be jealous? A female reporter found him very interesting and could not help teasing him. Daddy loves mommy, so of course he'll agree. Besides, no matter whose surname the child takes, it's the same. As he spoke, he tilted his head and glanced at Muyaja. Daddy, am I right? Muyaja raised an eyebrow, but did not express any opinion. It was obvious that he had tacitly agreed. When Muichin heard this, he straightened his neck and said, I want to take mommy's surname too. Muyaja. The man's face turned cold at once. What did you say? I want to take mommy's surname too. Yunichin sounds so nice. The corner of Muyaja's eyes twitched fiercely. Don't mess around. The audience laughed again, but this time it was a kind laughter. Everyone loved this pair of children very much. The atmosphere was no longer as tense as before. Instead, it became lively and no longer as stifling as before. Ji Yan's isolation and helplessness were further accentuated by the joyous atmosphere. She was at a loss as to what to do as she sat in her seat. She did not know whether to leave or just sit there. She felt extremely awkward, and as she looked at this harmonious scene, she felt even more upset. Unwillingness, annoyance, hatred, disgust, all kinds of negative emotions shrouded her. Ji Yan's face became irritated, especially when she saw that all the media's attention was focused on this family of four. Muyaja's sudden announcement of his marriage had disrupted all her plans and caught her off guard. Where did Muyaja get such great ability from? She really could not figure it out. Didn't he leave the Mu group? When she looked in the direction of Muyaja and Yun Shirshir, the light shone on them. The way he looked at Yun Shirshir was especially gentle and affectionate. The two were whispering intimately at times and smiling tacitly at each other at times. The man was extraordinarily handsome, and the woman was beautiful. If there really were a fairy tale in this world, it would be no different from this scene. Ji Yan's face turned even paler, and her eyes darted around wildly. She wanted to withdraw, but she had no choice but to sit on the stage like a ridiculous clown and endure the mocking gazes cast at her from time to time. I've lost to Yin Shirshir again. She was really unwilling to accept this. Last time, he had lost to her. Was he going to lose to her again this time? We've got our marriage certificate, and the wedding preparations are underway. The reporter asked, when do you plan to get married? Yin Shirshir's face suddenly turned red, and she lowered her head shyly. Muyaja looked at her playfully, then turned to face the flashing spotlights with his dark eyes. The wedding date hasn't been set yet, but we're already preparing for it. Once the schedule is confirmed, we'll release the wedding date to the media. The media has been specially arranged for the wedding, and I hope that all of you will be invited to my and Shirshir's wedding to witness our happiness. Mr. Mu, I wish you and Shirshir happiness forever. I wish you both happiness. The reporters gave their heartfelt blessings. Through the live broadcast, many viewers were deeply moved by the happy couple on the screen. They were so happy. The most perfect happiness in the world was probably marrying love in the end. Chapter 2661. At the press conference, Jian no longer had any room to speak. In the end, she could only leave in a sorry state, looking like a pitiful rat crossing the street under the countless cold stares of the reporters. On the rooftop, the neon lights were on. Yun Shirshir leaned against the railing, occasionally reaching out to tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. Muyaja hugged her from behind and gently rested his chin on her neck. What are you thinking about? He asked softly. Yun Shirshir chuckled softly, pursed her lips, and said somewhat shyly, I just feel that everything that happened tonight is a little unreal. Unreal? Yes. Yun Shirshir lowered her eyes. From despair to hope, from hell to heaven, it all switched so quickly. I feel like my heart can't keep up with the rhythm. Despair? Muyaja raised an eyebrow as if he did not understand her words. He turned her body around and forced her to face him. Why would you feel despair? When you weren't here, those reporters were like crazy. They wanted to skin me alive, and they swore to dig out some shocking news for me. At that time, I felt very hopeless. After a pause, she suddenly curved the corners of her lips and looked at him softly. But when you descended like a god and appeared in front of me with Yu and Xiao Yichin as if by magic, and you personally announced to those reporters that you and I were in a relationship. I was suddenly confused. Kind of. She was startled and seemed to be considering her words carefully. Then, she felt that she was being a little pretentious, so she sighed. Do you know? Tonight, there were many moments when I was overwhelmed by happiness. But I was also afraid that if I was too happy, God would not like it and beat me back to my original state. Do you believe in God that much? Muyaja narrowed his eyes. How superstitious are you to name you with the word God? Because people are born with different fates, isn't that so? Yin Shirshir pouted and asked disapprovingly. It's not that I'm superstitious, but fate is really mysterious. I have to believe in it. Little fool. Muyaja pecked between her brows in exasperation and adoration. From today onwards, you don't have to believe in the heavens anymore. Just trust me. God is the ruler of all things in the world. Do you want to replace him? Oof. You're so ambitious. Yin Shirshir rebuked him on the surface, but she couldn't help laughing in her heart. Muyaja said, I'm not that ambitious. His voice stopped abruptly. He looked at her deeply and suddenly smiled wickedly. He leaned closer to her face, the tips of their noses touching and their lips touching. His breath smelled like orchids. I just want to dominate you. That's all. With that, he covered her lips and kissed her. It was a charming kiss. Her lips were warm and soft, with a kind of mesmerizing charm. Once he started kissing her, he didn't want to stop. The tip of his tongue nimbly pried open the gap between her lips and went in deep, seducing her to kiss more. However, at such a harmonious moment, there would always be someone who didn't know what was good for them to do. Sizzle, sizzle. The sound of fireworks crackling came from afar and came closer. Daddy, Mommy. Chapter 2662. Yu ran to her side and smiled, but his sharp eyes caught a trace of lipstick on Yin Shirshir's lips. He frowned slightly and glanced suspiciously at the man who had been pushed to the side. He saw a trace of red at the corner of the man's lips, which seemed to be stained by something. He was a meticulous person. Sensing the awkward atmosphere, he understood everything at once. I was wondering where you guys were. It turns out that you were hiding here to steal a kiss behind Xiaoi Chen and my back. Yu huffed. Yin Shirshir looked even more embarrassed. No. You're still denying it? Don't try to lie to Yu. I'm not that stupid Mui Chen. I'm not that gullible. The little guy said matter-of-factly. Muyaja wanted to punch him. What a killjoy. It was always him who spoiled the mood. Could he be more observant? Seeing the veins on Muyaja's forehead bulging, Yin Tianyu knew that his daddy must be angry about being interrupted. He ignored him, pulled Yin Shirshir's hand, and said coquettishly, Mommy, let's set off fireworks, okay? It's already the new year. Why are we still setting off fireworks? Mommy doesn't know how to be romantic at all. Today is a special day. Yu is especially happy, so we want to set off fireworks to celebrate. Mui Chin suddenly leaned in and said, Also, today is White Valentine's Day. White Valentine's Day? Yes. Mui Chin looked at his father in disdain and said resentfully, Someone really doesn't know how to be romantic. He doesn't even know about White Valentine's Day. Fail. Yin Shirshir covered her mouth and snickered. Yu snorted. Still, since Daddy performed well today, I won't hold it against him. Mui Chin nodded in agreement. Yes. Mommy, let's go set off fireworks. Yin Shirshir carried him and coaxed him. All right, what kind of fireworks do you want to set off? I want to set off the kind that explodes in the sky. There's still some in the warehouse. We didn't manage to set them off during the new year. Yin Shirshir carried him to the warehouse as she nagged. Mui Chin walked over to Mui Chin's side and raised two of them. Amidst the colorful lights, his tender face, which looked especially cute. Daddy too? Childish. Yichin to Moo? Of Moo. Ouch. Frowning in pain, the boy hurriedly explained, I was just joking. Really? Yes. Mui Chin nodded solemnly. If my surname is also Yin and Daddy is the only one with the surname Mu, won't Daddy become a loner? How pitiful will that be? A certain pitiful man glared at him angrily. What was this guy talking about? He was both angry and amused at the same time. The light on the glow stick in his hand suddenly went out. Mui Chin threw the glow stick on the ground and looked up with a warm smile. But no matter who I choose, Daddy won't really mind, right? Mui Chin was stunned. He really didn't care much about the child's surname. Chapter 2663. Because when you love someone and truly put that person in your heart, you won't care about these trivial things at all. Daddy, I'm so happy tonight because our family is finally reunited in the truest sense. Mui Chin smiled, but his eyes were a little wet. He rubbed his eyes clumsily, feeling so happy that he didn't know what to do. Muyaja couldn't help but reach out and rub his son's head helplessly. I've never seen you cry before. It's because I'm excited. Mui Chin's eyes suddenly lit up. Does this mean that you and I can openly hold hands and go shopping with Mommy in the future? Yes. Then I don't have to be afraid of those reporters who secretly take photos of me kissing, hugging, and hugging Mommy? Yes. Hooray. Hooray, Daddy. Mui Chin jumped happily. You're so proud. Yes. Of course. Daddy can also kiss Mommy openly. We don't have to make it look like we're having an affair like before. Affair? The corner of Muyaja's eyes twitched. Where did you learn this word? You taught me. Muyaja didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He suddenly picked up Mui Chin and scratched the bridge of his nose. Okay, let's stop fooling around. Let's go set off the fireworks. Okay, the next day, regarding the press conference last night, Muyaja and Yun Shishir's relationship was officially announced. The entire entertainment industry was in an uproar. Especially on the internet and Weibo, all the fans were in an uproar. Many fans who originally stood on Jiyan's side and supported her under the banner of defending love were caught off guard by the 360-degree reversal of the situation. What? The original wife, Jiyan, is the real third party? And Yun Shishir, who has always been regarded as a shameful third party, is actually innocent? Everything was a sinister plot by Jiyan to sow discord and use Yun Shishir to hype things up. All the fans were skeptical. They were confused by this unpredictable situation. For a moment, they didn't know who to believe. No one knew how things would change in the next second. However, many fans also realized that they seemed to have wronged the innocent and that Yun Shishir wasn't as bad as Jiyan made her out to be. In contrast, Yun Shishir's ugly face was finally exposed to the public, and the public's opinion instantly turned to her side. Fans who protested against Yun Shishir not long ago and urged her to leave the entertainment industry now. On Weibo, Yun Shishir's Weibo. Jiyan, how can you be so shameless?